Chris!
Heath.
Let's do this!
Yeah. Man, the upcoming 2025 Game of the Year conversation just got so much more interesting now that GTA 6 has been taken off the table into next year.
Right. 2025 is now...
It's anyone's game.
And that's good for Heath, yes.
Bad for my fantasy publisher draft. I am going to need to perform much better in the upcoming second draft that we're doing.
Hey, Chris, who's projected to win right now?
I have fallen out of my first place projected win status. Samantha, you're now leading the pack.
Yeah, that's right. I DM'd the developers of GTA 6 and I said, hey, could you delay it till next year? And they said, anything for you, babe.
They said Kroenke because they're Australian, right? That's Rockstar's
I don't think so.
Aussie division?
I assume they're based in California.
Oh, maybe. Okay.
That's what I thought too.
But no, as much as this pains me personally for my performance in our competition on this podcast, I am encouraged to see all of these fresh new faces like Expedition 33 and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2.
Yeah, that one.
Now have a shot at taking home the goatee when previously they were going to be footnotes in this year's history.
Yeah, we're in for like a It Takes Two type of...
A split fiction, if you will. So that'll make the end of this year conversation much more intriguing from my perspective. So silver lining, that's what I'm telling myself to make myself feel better now that I've lost my lead. Hey, Samantha, how have you been? Welcome to the show.
Hi, happy to be here.
And what show is this, Heath?
Mobius Tubes. Hey, welcome to all the parents and grandparents tuning in, many of whom read this episode's title and are intending to use the episode as a board game buyer's guide. If so, you'll want to skip to the 1 hour mark because we have much to discuss.
Yes, any board game fans tuning in on this one-off episode of Mobius Tubes, please use the timestamps in the description. Skip past all the dirty video game talk. But yeah, we've got an action-packed episode. This is episode 122 being recorded on May 11th, 2025. We do have games we've been playing lately to discuss, video games, that is. Who wants to go first?
We should start because we have a transition into that one.
Excellent. Everyone here is bringing new games to discuss, never before talked about on the show. Samantha and I are playing a recent release. We've been playing, and we teased it a couple episodes ago, Blueprints, the hot new roguelite puzzle game.
And that's blueprints as in royalty, not as in blueprints, the physical object.
That's right. There's a lot to dig into here. Speaking personally, there's going to be a lot of effusive praise and some damning criticism slipped in.
Uh-oh.
It's going to be an exciting game to talk about. I'm especially enthusiastic because it's a very unique game that's blending genres in a way I haven't quite seen before, which has got me jazzed. I won't bury the lead. If you at all self-identify as being a puzzle game sicko, I heartily recommend this game to you. If you want to sink your teeth in deep, this game will be an all-you-can-eat buffet. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. So what is Blueprints? I'll set up the premise right here. You play as a 14-year-old boy named Simon, who there's been a death in the family. Your great uncle, in his last will, has left you your family ancestral manor. And it's yours to claim. You just have to fulfill his dying wish in order to be eligible to receive it. You need to explore this massive 45-room mansion and find its secret, hidden 46th room before you can actually claim the house as your inheritance.
Just follow, wall hugging in like Dark Souls.
Like in a hedge maze?
Or yeah, you just follow the left wall.
Now that would work in a conventional house, but as you'll soon discover when booting up Blueprints, this manor rearranges itself every day. It's a magical house.
How does he expect me to find it?
Right, that's where the challenge comes in, and you're immediately hooked. How do you find this missing room?
Oh, because I know zero about this game.
Okay.
Is there rules where the kitchen always connects to the lobby?
The mechanics of how the house rearranges itself is you walk in to the entryway, and then you can go right, left, or forward. And you pick from 3 choices of a room to put in that spot.
We call that room drafting.
You are building the house as you maneuver through it.
Oh.
Yes, you are given a blank canvas of a 9x5 grid that you are filling out on each successive run.
If it's 9x5,
45.
what do you do?
And that's
What if I fill out the grid?
that's where Samantha and I should reveal Well, I'm 21 hours in. I think Samantha's a bit ahead of me.
I don't know my hour count because I keep answering the phone to talk to Chris about blueprints and leave the game running.
Neither of us have rolled credits on the game yet, which should tell people who have that we're still relatively early in this game because apparently there's an extensive end game I know nothing about.
Oh, God.
But no, this is where we're on brand. This game is starting to reveal some of its board game-like appeal. It reminded me a little bit of a game you used to have, Heath, the Castles of Mad King Ludwig.
I still have it.
Okay.
It's at the foot of my bed.
Excellent. Anyone who knows that game, maybe a small comparison to a more mainstream game like Carcassonne, where you build the map as you play. You are assembling this house on each run you take, where this game is a roguelite, where it's contextualized, where every new day is a new chance to try to find that missing room. Samantha, would you like to hop in with any...
Can I ask more questions?
Oh,
Of
yeah,
course.
there's a lot to cover here.
Yeah.
Is there a ticking clock that ends each day?
Yes and no. It's not a literal clock as in you're being timed, but you can only take 50 steps each day. And a step isn't literally a step. It's like when I move from the hallway to the bedroom, that's a step.
You
If
need
I
to
move,
cross a threshold.
if I cross a threshold, that's a step. You can walk around outside and then it gets a little wiggly what a step is, but it's pretty generous, I think. They're not nickel and diming you because, outside is just one big room, if you think about it.
Yes. Like I said, board game appeal. You're playing the spatial game of gradually drafting rooms in various shapes, trying not to lock yourself into a dead end prematurely, trying to make sure you're creating a maze that's going to carry you all the way to the end of the grid.
Because some rooms have one entrance and exit.
Right, a dead end. They could ruin a run really early.
So just don't put that in the grid.
The issue you're dealing with is every time you approach a locked door and you're going to enter a new room, you must choose one out of only 3 options.
Lock-picking minigame.
If you are dealt 3 dead ends, that's a tough break. Your end might come crashing to a halt.
The vast majority of your runs, especially in the early game, are not going to have 45 rooms. You are going to hit, in the early game, I don't know, Chris, 20? A lot of the
Perhaps,
time?
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm 21 hours in, and I have not successfully filled up the entire grid yet. Samantha
I've done
has.
it twice. Woo.
Why have you not won yet?
Because she only found 45 rooms, bro. There's supposed to be a 46th.
I don't know how to get across the gear. It's not important.
This means nothing to me.
Yeah, it should.
But while you're playing the spatial game, you're also managing resources, like trying to make sure you have a healthy step economy. You don't become exhausted from walking around too much, doing too much backtracking. You're juggling keys as a resource to get past those pesky locked doors.
As you move through the house and get deeper, you'll find more locked doors. So in the early run of the house, you want to build up your key supply so you don't get locked out of progressing further.
Right. There's lots of tasty trade-off decisions you're making where maybe I lock the eastern side of my manor. It's going to be a dead end, but maybe I grab a lot of resources while I'm there and double back somewhere else. All sorts of cool board gamey like decisions I know and love can be found in this game.
Is the expert level blueprints player able to look in a window and see, oh, I need not enter that room because it doesn't have any keys?
There is some of that where you're like, I drafted this room to go in later. I don't actually need to go in here now. I just want to see if there are any items I want to grab, and you kind of maneuver around.
Yeah, you can be playing the corner angle game, looking in the room, seeing if there's anything worth picking up in there. Fun things like that.
Yeah.
Before you actually lose the step by crossing the threshold.
Also, as Chris mentioned, this game is a roguelite, not a roguelike, which means there is some persistent progression as you work through the game. And I would say that persistent progression feels extremely rewarding.
Yeah, there's some big advantages to be earned.
Yeah, I remember I had started playing it after Chris and I was over here. I was like, yeah, Chris, let's do a run together on your file. And he was like, all right, I'm going to boot it up, but you're going to think I'm cheating based on what I have going on. And I did, in fact, think he was cheating. It was crazy.
Like Samantha said, this is a roguelite. We're no strangers to roguelites on this podcast. We're big fans of Into the Breach, a strategy game, Slay the Spire, action ones like Hades. I super appreciate this really novel attempt at marrying the roguelite format to a more adventure-style puzzle game. We're usually thinking of things like Outer Wilds or The Witness. This blending of genres I haven't seen before, and I'm oh so appreciative of this really unique crossing of worlds here. I'll get later on to how successful I think it's being with this blending, but I super appreciate the effort. I'd say early on in my Blueprints experience, I'd sometimes experience a small degree of dread, wondering if this run will simply fail to come together. I'll get dead end locked and I'll just have wasted 30 minutes on something that wasn't very productive. I will say the game has some good design chops behind it to alleviate that concern. There are so many leads and threads to pull at and clues to chase in Blueprints that even if I begin a run hoping to make progress across a certain vector, I will, without even intending to, learn something new and important about something else. There's many different lanes to be progressing in Blueprints. I'm talking about how you know the game works, what you're learning about how the puzzles work, that at least for the long runway of the early hours, no single run feels completely worthless. You're learning something, you're unlocking some sort of permanent benefit. Would you agree that matched your experience, Samantha, or am I being too generous?
I would think so. I think a lot of the early game, what's keeping you going is you're seeing a lot of new rooms because there are lots of different rooms to look at.
Perhaps even more than 45.
Perhaps even more than 45. So it feels every time you look at a new room or make it to a new rank, which is how they describe you progressing like further into the grid, you are unlocking some new information. So even if you're like, oh, I know this did this to the antechamber, but I can't get there, you're still doing something of relevance.
That's right. I'll say, if Blueprints was merely this room drafting game of resource management and some spatial considerations, it would be pretty fun. I'd recommend it. But that is only the tip of the iceberg. The game several times so far has pulled this magic trick where if I would liken the experience of playing Blueprints to trying to dig to the center of the earth, several times I felt like, oh man, I must be honing in on the core pretty soon.
It's getting hot down here.
Getting hot down here. I'm sweating. And then some new shred of information would be revealed to me that causes my perspective to zoom out. And I suddenly see
Atlantis.
I'm still in the crust, much less the mantle or the core. The game scale has...
It's the iceberg analogy.
In an intimidating fashion, the game's scale just keeps expanding, which is why I recommend it to like the really hardcore puzzle people, because this game's going to demand a lot of you.
So I've probably crossed the 20-hour mark at this point, and I feel like I've seen all of the rooms. Then I'm on a random run. I see a room I've never seen before. It has a little puzzle symbol on it, which means if I go in there, there's a little puzzle for me to solve. I walk in, I look at these puzzles, and I'm like, I have no idea what to do here. And that's been haunting me. And I again recently bought a new book that I read, and I felt like the book was making fun of me for how little I knew about this game.
Sorry, what's the title of the book?
A New Clue.
Okay.
I've recently purchased a new Clue, but I've not read it yet. So I'm eager to see what that means.
This book is in the game?
Yes.
Yeah, there's a bookshop.
Okay. All right. That was unclear.
Sorry.
And a library.
Not in real life. I didn't buy a
thought for a
Blueprints
second, yeah.
guide. Good God.
So to try to get at the fact that there's layers to Blueprints, I'll mention an example where Samantha, she's very clever. She breadcrumbed me into figuring out how to begin one of the game's more overarching puzzles that maybe you will take multiple runs to actually piece together. And I said to her, thank goodness you led me by the hand to this, because there were enough layers of separation between what I was seeing in the environment in getting to the point where I could actually conceptualize the core of what the puzzle was asking me to do, that I thought I would have never made the leaps of logic required all by myself to get there. I was glad she breadcrumbed
Hey,
me.
give yourself a little more credit, buddy.
However, then literally on my very next run after she had like held my hand, I encountered this new rare room I'd never seen before.
And I'd never seen before.
That completely spelled out the very same puzzle to me. Like basically saying, okay, buddy, here's what you need to look for.
Okay.
And I was... very often, the best solution in Blueprints will to just be to play more of the game and wait for new information to fall into your lap.
It kind of hurt my feelings that the game tells you about that puzzle because I was feeling really cool for figuring it out. And the game is like, oh yeah, everybody's going to know about that because we're going to tell them. And it took that away from me.
I'll say to the game's credit, while it unquestionably will ask a lot of the player, I feel like the designer really wants you to succeed and finish it because they do put in those like instructional rooms that you'll eventually find. That's in contrast to some of the other big ambitious puzzle games I've played, like The Witness, where I feel in comparison, The Witness felt much more apathetic to whether or not I'd ever reach the credits.
Yeah.
It was just like, here's the puzzles, buddy. Figure them out or don't. Jonathan Blow doesn't care.
Jonathan Blow was laughing at us through the screen.
This game's like, yeah, you're going to have to work for it, but we're going to eventually feed you the clues you need to make progress. And that's a helpful feeling to have when going into a puzzle game this deep. I will say that advice to just keep playing, wait for the new information to come to you, while it can be encouraging, it can also be a curse because you don't always have control over the rate that the new information is revealed to you, nor the order it's given to you. And that can be annoying. And this is one of the ways in which the RNG criticisms plaguing Blueprints can rear their head. Since it features a fair dose of randomness, like the random rooms you're drafting every run, it's by necessity going to be a far more unevenly paced and less authored experience than many of its puzzle game contemporaries.
And if we compare it to a game like Outer Wilds, where any run can be the successful run, not every Blueprints run you can make it to the 46th room. It's going to be partially dependent on your RNG. Obviously, I don't know how to get to the 46th room, but I know that to be true.
Wait, what? There'll be times when it's unbeatable?
Now, to be fair, you can modify your RNG. So if you're like, oh, I keep drafting the lavatory, which is a dead-end room, it's basically useless.
Yeah.
There is a way to make that room show up not very much in your drafting pool. You can adjust it. Now, it's hard to do that. It's not handed to you. It's really difficult, takes time, but you can affect it in some aspects. I just feel like there needs to be more of kind of what Heath was saying at the beginning, where if I draft the kitchen, the pantry will pop out because they're next to each other, to make it more of like a puzzle to fill the house rather than a randomness to fill the house.
It can certainly feel like you've got just a horrible run.
Okay, you're telling me that when I go to play this game, what chunk of the pie chart of my losses are Heath's skill issue versus the game fucked me?
It depends on where you are in the game. In the beginning of the game, mostly skill issue.
Yeah.
And then as you get much further, you'll lose a lot less. And then it will be at least, I don't know about how you feel, Chris. I feel like sometimes in my later runs, it has mostly just been, well, that was the worst possible draw I could have gotten. Oh, well.
Oh.
As a possible counterpoint, there is an achievement people are earning, which is beat the whole game day one.
But like you could just restart until that happened.
Right. No way you're doing that on your virgin playthrough.
Yeah.
There's so much to love about this game. I won't dig into it at all, but there's a heavy narrative hook here. As you play more and more, there's like a fantasy novel worth of lore and stuff to uncover. It's really interesting.
Political intrigue.
Right. It's not just the cool drafting puzzle game, and it's not just the mind-blowing, whoa, that means that. There's lots to latch onto and like here.
It's your grandfather?
He's
great
our
uncle.
great uncle.
Was this part of the Underground Railroad?
It's set in like a fantasy Earth. So the countries that are involved are not of this Earth.
Arstotzka. Yeah.
Arstotzka. Good reference.
The only thing holding me back,
Not enough blue.
the jury's still out, but I feel like the game is guilty of not fully respecting the player's time. And that's especially what I've been hearing about the endgame challenges, where anecdotes of players playing this for well north of 100 hours. And there's definitely a version of that game with massaged RNG where that need not have been the case. This game could have been half that length, and I think it would have been better for it. This is somewhat hearsay because I'm only 21 hours in. I haven't even done the regular credits yet. But what I suspect the issue is I think there's too much repetitive busy work overhead baked into every single run. And the effect that has is it balloons the runtime of this game to a sum that's astronomically larger than it needed to be. So much of each run is going to be things that the busy work you do at the very start, the first several rows of the house you're building up, and just getting your engine running, your resource economy, it's going to be so similar every single time, and it's a necessary step. At this point, when I do a run, I ask myself, what did that run ultimately amount to? This game heavily relies on you taking screenshots and jotting down notes.
I have like 10 pages of a notebook filled with blueprints, notes, and theories.
I've seen Chris's notes.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, at the end of this 45 minutes, I snapped 2 new screenshots of this ornate map that'll be useful later.
Mm-hmm.
I drafted a new room with some clues that didn't quite make sense to me yet. And I got some hints about a math puzzle I've been thinking about in the back of my head. And that was the list of novel content. So at the end of 45 minutes, I experienced 5 minutes of new content.
Oh.
And that ratio of new to old is going to wear on people. I think it's wearing on me.
My play time has definitely slowed down since I've kind of mastered the game, but don't know how to progress that much further.
The large amount of overhead that's happening every run that's just busy work, that makes the ratio so stingy of the juice versus the squeeze, if you know what I mean.
In Outer Wilds, your busy work is literally just getting into your rocket and going up. And it's like if getting into your rocket and going up took 20 minutes.
Or a great puzzle game like The Witness, and you're stuck on this X puzzle with a new mechanic. And to earn the privilege of retrying it, you had to do 10 intro puzzles every single time.
Ooh.
It's nothing but the treehouse part of The Witness.
Yeah.
So
God, I hated that part.
I was thinking, as we're wrapping up this Blueprints talk.
So it's a great game in spite of itself.
Yes. And here's kind of the conclusion I was coming to. I was thinking about the marriage of genres I talked about earlier, the puzzle game married with a roguelite. And I think it might be an oil and water situation where I was thinking, the other roguelites I enjoy, what is the core appeal of a strategy roguelite?
Making the god tier reads and min-maxing my troops so that I win the level.
Yeah. Since it's randomized, you're going to be presented with novel game states you haven't seen before, and you try to outwit the game, come up with a new strategy to this unfamiliar situation.
I make Vec shoot each other.
Yeah.
And in an action roguelite like Hades or something, the appeal is just getting to that flow state.
Seducing the gods to give me a better weapon.
And just having that variety injected through randomization is really fun because you're just doing the same gameplay loop over and over. In Blueprints, a puzzle roguelite, not something we've seen very often. What's the core appeal of a puzzle game? It's
making me sound smart to all my friends.
It's making new discoveries, creating new connections in your head, stumbling upon brand new novel information. But having that in a roguelite format where repetition is baked in, that doesn't gel very well with, in puzzle game, the core appeal is the novelty. It's the new discovery. Where if rote repetition is such a large part of the experience, that's in stark contrast to what a puzzle game wants you to be focusing on.
I feel like I wouldn't mind the repetition if the RNG weren't out to get me. I think I just want it to have secretly no RNG and you have to figure it out for yourself, even if it appears random. You know, that's my dream Blueprints.
Mm-hmm.
Alternative dimension Chris that gets the most generous RNG possible gives this game a 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
Even with my complaints, this game could be 9 out of 10 level. It's really good.
Yeah.
I think this is a really commendable first outing at marrying two gameplay styles that may just end up being fundamentally incompatible at the end of the day. The puzzle roguelite idea, I feel like they're swimming against the current, trying to make it work. And they did a really good job. They mixed that oil and water better than anyone expected them to.
Nearly emulsified.
And that's how I'm feeling about Blueprints right now. I like it a lot, but it's starting to show some warts.
I have one specific nitpick.
Sure.
Okay, so in the early aughts, when Chris and I were playing this,
What?
And
What?
I'm just kidding. Sorry.
I'm 7.
I was just saying, in the beginning of this game, when Chris and I were playing, I feel like he would say, "Oh, have you made a discovery that lets you do this?" And I'd be like, "No, what are you talking about? I've been working on this thing." And all of the breakthroughs seemingly I had were simply me looking at things and being like, "Oh, I know this." And Chris would be like, "Yeah, I just had a magnifying glass." And it's like I hadn't seen a magnifying glass like 5 hours in. Chris was having all these cool benefits that I was locked out of because I hadn't found this stupid item. And I just really don't like, I feel like something, again, that would make this game better is if like maybe specific items could always be found in certain rooms. So if you're like, wow, I really need a magnifying glass this run, it could be in the office or it could be in the lab. It could be anywhere. It just needs to always be in one place so that if you know you need it, you can go get it. Instead of just having to be like, well, I'm just going to draft 45 rooms and hope to God I get one so I can look at the stupid note Chris says I need. Because without it, I can't get that cool bonus that Chris has. I know that's like a really specific complaint, but it drove some frustration in the beginning.
Yeah, you were very envious of my magnifying glass.
Who wouldn't be?
There are other items. There's loads of items in this game. And it's like some of them provide big benefits. And I feel like there should be a guaranteed way to get every single item on every run if you just do a certain thing.
Samantha did remind me, this game, if you're playing it in parallel with someone else, it is a very fun conversation game.
Yeah.
Because you'll be sharing wild details with each other. And yeah, Samantha's magnifying glass woes did remind me, I would be very tickled to listen to like a high-level player streaming it. Listening to the commentary would amuse me very much because the person would be enthusiastically talking about such mundane household items like, this.
Right, no, the keyboard mashing, right? It's like, okay, I'm in the dining room. I got the silver spoon. All right, and we're moving on. This is world record split coming in. We got the observatory, and here's the baby bib.
Yeah. Blueprints, it's been a lot of fun. If you're a big puzzle game fan, you're going to have a field day with this one.
I like that the puzzles get harder each time you draft like a puzzle specific room. I think that's cool.
Until they become insurmountable.
That billiard room. I've got that any day. The box room. That one's hard. I got that wrong sometimes.
You could say anything at this point.
I could.
That's enough blueprints for now. We'll be talking about it later. Shall we move on to what
someone else has been playing with a different blueprint?
All right, Delty.
Yeah. So Heath, I'll start off by saying I replayed chapter 1 of Deltarune so I could be fresh.
Very good of you. You're doing your due diligence.
I did it out of love for the game.
Okay. Is Deltarune better in every way? Almost. Chris, wait. You haven't touched Delty.
I have only played Undertale. I have not touched Deltarune.
Yeah,
Okay.
This is going to be rough.
So spoiler just need to be kept under lock and key.
Before we get too far, did you find the secret boss and fight him?
Yeah, I have yet to beat him.
Okay. I beat him today.
Wow.
I think it was like...
Pacifist or not?
Yes.
Okay.
I think that's easier. I don't know.
I heard contradicting things from different walkthroughs.
There was like 2 attacks I always had a problem with, but if you have like the top cake, that's like...
I do.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So you can do it. I believe in you.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm reluctant to start chapter 2 without it.
Yeah.
Because then I won't have the special.
Yeah. You want it.
Hey Heath, what is Deltarune Chapter 1?
Deltarune Chapter 1 is the first installment of Toby Fox's sequel to Undertale, which is more of the same. You are a child, and you're in the world of monsters, and you're trying to get out of the world of monsters to some extent. And
Heath is doing a great job saying correct things without saying too much.
I see.
He's doing so much work for you right now, Chris.
Undertale had better world building. Deltarune has better vibes.
Okay.
I mean, to make it a little bit more fair, this is just the first chapter. Undertale is a whole complete vision.
Correct.
So Deltarune is going to have 7. I've played the first 2, 3 and 4 coming out in June. So I'm trying to withhold too much judgment on that facet.
Combat is so much more interesting.
Yes.
The humor is 10 out of 10. create a machine. And then Lancer, I'll spoil this. Anytime Toby Fox touches a skeleton, it comes to life. Chris, you love Commander Shepard in Mass Effect 2, where an NPC is like, I thought you were dead. And he goes, I got better.
Classic.
Lancer is a kid. He's like, see you later, losers. And he goes off screen. But very shortly off screen, and you just walk to the end of your little room and you're like, I thought you were running away. And he's like, yeah, I finished. Just that kind of humor. If you don't like that, Chris is going to hate this game for 2 reasons.
No, he's not.
The opening 10 minutes is just so much fan service.
Okay.
Yes.
And Chris, who can't progress through a game without looking under every rock, is going to have to click through a lot of text.
Yes.
That's going to do some psychological damage.
I did the same thing because I have that in common with Chris the first time I played it, and it was a detriment to my enjoyment of the game.
Wow,
So
that must be a lot of text.
I mean, it's Toby Fox. He doesn't do anything by halves, so literally everything in the environment is clickable.
Okay, that's
So-
true.
The throne of the gods. His sense of humor and just observational comedy is so in tune with how I chuckle. Going back to your iceberg. On the surface level, yeah, he's a funny game dev. But at the deep sea level, Toby Fox has Mark Twain's power level.
Yeah.
He so accurately captures the Americana in his silly monster world. Noelle and her dad.
Yeah.
In the hospital.
Yeah.
There's cancer in my fun monster game.
Yeah.
Wasn't expecting it. Just tender moments, 10 out of 10, to accompany the humor, 10 out of 10. The Heath Toby glow up, Chris is thinking in the back of his mind, wow, if Heath is this swayed by optimistic and quirky prose, I have a YA novel to sell him. And to be fair, like I don't read.
I particularly like Susie's character arc within this chapter. It's tried and true, but I love it. That's the kind of stuff I love Toby Fox for.
Susie,
Yeah.
At the end of the adventure, let's go back tomorrow. Heath is pumping his fists and just looking at her expression. It's crazy.
Is that setting up chapter 2?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, of course.
But also no.
I mean, there's like 2 handfuls worth of characters that say, come back tomorrow.
Yes.
Which all I could think of is if you applied that same trope to like, if in Mass Effect 1, the Batarian that's trying to planet crack that asteroid was like, come back tomorrow to Shepard to tee up the sequel.
I think in a lot of ways, you'll be surprised at the step up in some quality of life improvements that Chapter 2 offers. So that's some fun to look forward to. I have a specific question for you, Heath. You've seen the ending of Deltarune Chapter 1. Like,
Yes.
What'd you think?
Yeah, Birdcage, yeah.
Yeah. I saw that and I was like, I am so hooked right now. I will play these chapters as they come out. I cannot wait for them to all be out.
That goes for me.
Yeah.
Well, it deepens the, like, who is Chris's brother?
Thomas.
That's funny.
Should we say?
No, we shouldn't. Because I want to find out for myself.
Do you want me to type it? And
Well, it's a character I've already met, you're saying?
yes.
Okay. I don't think you should tell me.
Okay.
But yeah, the stinger at the end, the teaser, the post-credits Marvel teaser, I guess that just occurs to everybody of Chris's nature.
Oh.
Because I saw it with Chara. Like,
Yeah.
Like, it's not something I haven't seen before.
I'm so interested by how many parallels there are to the Undertale universe, but how it's so clearly not the Undertale universe.
This is what Mass Effect Andromeda was supposed to be.
Okay.
Tell a new story, but have a citadel's worth of familiar faces.
Right. Yeah.
It's so interesting. Like, I guess I'll say this small spoiler. When you talk
can't help
to
ourselves.
Undyne directing traffic,
I did.
she's like, what do you want to talk about? And you say Alphys. She's like, who's Alphys?
Oh.
Broke my heart. I was
Oh,
like,
no.
what do you mean who's Alphys? Your girlfriend, idiot.
And then Alphys is just in an alley. All right.
That's pretty standard for her. Or when you pick up flowers from the flower
shop.
shop to bring to your mom.
I tried to give him to Noelle.
Did it work?
I had a crush on her. No, the dialogue options just weren't there.
Noelle is not interested in you.
Right.
Yeah.
I know this.
Yeah. And you bring them to Toriel, and she's like, you brought me flowers. And then she's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
You didn't bring me flowers. And then she's like, yeah, I'll put these somewhere.
The universe is different. Relationships have and have not happened, but that one is still the same.
He was like, yeah, they're never getting back together.
Yeah, I gotta beat the secret boss.
I'm excited for you to do that. I think the boss fight isn't as hard as you think it is because most of what's probably getting you, if you've played it a lot, is just most of the fight. So if that makes sense.
Did you hear what she just said?
I'm trying to tune things out.
Oh, okay.
If you're like, oh man, I feel like I'm not even halfway through and I'm dying, you're probably like 80 to 90% of the way through and you're dying.
Okay.
So you're closer than you think.
As a non-Deltarune player, I have a question for you, Heath.
Shoot.
You glossed past this, maybe because the answer is uninteresting, but you said Deltarune combat, much improved. Why is that exactly?
You know how in Undertale, sometimes if you loiter in the menus, bad things happen?
I'm not sure I knew that, actually.
When you're fighting Mettaton, the viewers are going down.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so more gimmicks like that.
The fights are way more creative.
You don't win a fight just by like doing the most damage. You also have to like pay attention to that and pay attention to her.
Fights will introduce like a bespoke mechanic to worry about.
Yeah.
Or there will be bespoke dialogue if you're like, hey, Susie, go flirt with that enemy. And she'll be like, why would I do that? That's such a weird thing for you to ask me. And then they're like, just do it. And she's like, all right. You come here often, and the enemy just like runs away because they feel too awkward. These are some great.
Stop spoiling.
I know. I'm sorry. It's just so
Forget
good.
all that.
That sounds great.
I love this game.
You've now finished chapter 1, Heath.
Yeah.
Tell me, how much like closure did you get? Did it feel like a complete experience?
Dude, final boss is fine. Don't set your sights too high.
Chapter 2, way better.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
What was your question? Like,
Does it just feel like it ended midstream, just go into chapter 2? Or was this like a complete, you could call it quits here and feel like you got a complete experience?
it's its own contained pond versus the lake that was Undertale. And yeah, you can swim in it very briefly. I beat the whole chapter in one Nintendo Switch's battery.
Okay.
That makes
That's like
sense.
3 hours or something.
Yeah. It like by the time you're done smelling the roses, you will feel like it was a complete experience. I feel like if it ended just right after the final boss, you would have been like, "What the heck?"
I liked the chance to get to see the other half of the world.
Prestige tour, yes.
Yes. I think that's good because it helps build the world more, and you see Noelle's dad in the hospital, stuff like that. It's adding a lot more to like, hey, why do I care about this new kid? Yeah. I can't wait for you to play chapter 2. I feel like it's an improvement on chapter 1.
What is the locked door in that shop? What is the double doors at the bottom of the town?
Oh, I've been aching to know that. I don't know.
Oh no.
No,
All right.
we're gonna hang out at the library. The library.
Thank you.
Yes. That's where we're going.
What's at the second floor of the library?
We're going to the computer room.
Oh,
Yeah.
Toby's in there.
Toby's in there. He's working on the game.
All right, that's all you get out of me for Deltarune.
I'm so happy that you like it, Heath. I love this game so much. I'm so excited to talk about it more.
And I will be checking it out in the near future, probably when chapters 3 and 4 are available.
You kind of have to, yeah.
The peer pressure is insurmountable.
Yeah, you're going to miss the zeitgeist.
Yeah. I think that's everything we've been playing. We'll take a break.
On to the news!
We'll take a break, come back with some news, and then the main event of a board game countdown. See you then. And we're back.
On to the news.
On to the news.
We already talked about GTA 6. Other games that end in the number 6. Frostpunk 1886.
Oh?
Okay.
So, imagine my face when I see a thumbnail for a video posted by 11-Bit Studios that says, new game. And I think, what? Frostpunk 2 just come out. Frostpunk 1886 is remaking Frostpunk 1 in the Unreal 5 engine.
Interesting.
Taking all the technical advancements from 2 and just building up 1 from the ground up.
A remaster situation.
Think of the hottest girlfriend you ever had, and then just remake. That didn't work.
Chris is almost in trouble.
Heath, should I play Frostpunk 1? No, wait.
Okay.
Wait until 1886 comes out.
Okay.
Because how could it not be better?
Well, I mean, their track record is a little suspect after you were unimpressed with Frostpunk 2.
After I spent $70 for the super de-duper version of Frostpunk 2, and then I was like,
Why is it called 1886, do you figure?
because that's canonically when the Great Storm happened.
Oh, really?
Who cares?
Okay.
Who cares?
It's alternate history.
It's the number of minus degrees it gets in the final level. That's impossible. So yeah, Lucas Pope could absolutely just take a big old dump with the next game. But then if he's like, hey, I made a spinoff to Oprah Din, Heath is like, come back to me, baby. Like, I will do anything for these boys. So I will totally play this new Frostpunk game. It's also coming out in 2027. Something crazy.
I feel like that's such a long lead time for what is pretty much a questionably necessary remaster job.
Yeah.
Get excited, I guess.
Heath is. Anyway, next news. Really quick. Strong Museum Video Game Hall of Fame inductees. We congratulate Quake, Tamagotchi, Defender, which is that
arcade game I played.
arcade game, and I'm shooting Chris because GoldenEye 007 is in the Hall of Fame, baby. Age of Empires can suck it.
Check must not have cleared.
There's no accounting for taste.
Yes. We congratulate the 4 winners. And that is the Hall of Fame of video games. I'm trying to burn 5 more minutes because that's when I said the timestamp.
I can assist you, Heath, because I have one news story.
Oh, thank God.
I just thought I'd check in on simultaneously the evolving tariff situation and how it's affecting the cost of video game hardware, and a temperature reading on the state of the video game console war.
Of whose generation we are probably at the exact midpoint.
This generation, I'd say we're a little more than halfway, probably. If I was a betting man, I'd say 2027, latest 2028 is when we should see a new Xbox or PlayStation.
That would be the midpoint, wouldn't it?
Right now, you mean?
When did the PS5 launch?
2020.
Yeah, I don't think we'll get a PS6 until like 2029.
Okay, that would be an unprecedentedly long time,
Well,
but
it's the tariff.
we are in unprecedented times, as I'm about to elaborate.
Oh, he's about to elaborate.
Because for decades there, you as a consumer could count on, you get late into a console's generation, you're going to inevitably get that sweet price drop. Your patience will be rewarded. You can pick up that Xbox 360 for $100 less than the launch price.
What a bargain.
Those seem to be times past, however, because now we get price increases. Microsoft announced in response to the new Trump tariffs, they are raising the cost of all their consoles and peripherals across the board. Maybe the most notable ones is their main console. The Xbox Series X has gone from $500 US to $600.
Okay, but the specs have been improved.
There have been no changes.
It's the same kit?
It's just accounting for the increased cost of importing the hardware.
Also,
It's the same kit.
my theory is even if these tariffs go away, that price increase stays.
It's
Yeah. So this is bad.
And a more beefy version, the Xbox Series X packing a 2 terabyte SSD went from a previous price of $600 to now $730 US.
Oh, God.
These are not insignificant price increases. It just goes to show how if you were thinking of buying a console, maybe try to buy it soon. You're too late for Xbox. Those prices are already set in stone. They've raised. If you were eyeing a PlayStation or maybe even a Switch 2 or something, maybe act fast. I don't think prices are going down at all anytime soon. I think it is interesting. This is subject to change. I think inevitably, sometime down the line, Microsoft's competitor, Sony, will have to, in response, raise the price of the PlayStations. They have not done so yet. Microsoft has kind of acted alone. which, as a consumer making a buying decision, the state of the console war has never been cooler. The choice of which box to buy off the store shelf has never been easier to make.
Yeah.
Because one of these boxes is cheaper, plays the games at a higher performance, and just straight up plays more games. There's like, if you take the magnifying glass from Blueprints and examine an Xbox, searching for a reason to buy one, you will come up empty-handed. The Xbox Series X $730 one costs more currently than the PlayStation 5 Pro, a much stronger, more powerful system. And this is happening simultaneously at the same time Xbox is announcing things like, in August, they're releasing a shiny new remake of a classic Xbox game, Gears of War.
Yay!
And it's day and date releasing on Sony PlayStation.
Ooh.
It's an end of an era. That is, we are entering iconic mascots of the Xbox brand.
First it was Halo.
Master Chief and Marcus Phoenix from Gears of War, they are now appearing directly on their competitors' hardware. Unprecedented times. It is a complete capitulation for Microsoft. They no longer care about winning. They're
Segaing themselves.
They are Segaing. Yeah, they are.
That's hard to say.
Yeah.
That is hard to say. It's a tongue twister. I'll fail. They are transitioning to being a massive publisher of games that just so happens to sell hardware if you want to buy it for some reason. It is really a sign of times changing. The Gears of War example is not in isolation. They just ported Indiana Jones over. Forza, you can now play Forza on PlayStation.
But what are you supposed to do with Gran Turismo?
They're now kind of competing directly.
Oh my
It's
God,
interesting.
ketchup and mustard on the same burger.
The final domino that needs to fall is when Halo. You can play Halo on
Viva
a PlayStation.
Pinata on a
Yeah,
PlayStation.
that's what I'm waiting for.
Just unprecedented times all around, from the pricing, from the complete lack of competition. It's really interesting.
Middle schoolers trying to, Mom, can we get a console?
Time machine back to Chris and Heath in middle school. This kind of news would be catastrophic for the Xbox camp.
They're wetting themselves more than usual.
Right.
Which camp were you guys in middle school?
Middle school?
I've never owned a Sony anything.
I've never owned an Xbox anything.
I was team Xbox 360 over the PlayStation 3.
How'd you Viva your pinata?
My stepdad had one for a little bit, and I would go over to his place and play it.
Okay.
Or I'd play it at my friend Kayla's house. Never at my house.
Yeah.
That's all I had on that news story.
And that is it for all the news.
That is it for all the news, which brings us to this episode's main event.
Maybe we should all rotate our vision to the PowerPoint.
So, just a little preamble to tee this up. Hey, I know we're a video game podcast, but it's our show and we do what we want. Old listeners, deep cut. Some listeners may remember
True fans,
a secretive segment that sometimes would air after the outro music called the Cardboard Corner.
Was it after the outro music?
Yeah, I kept it very hush-hush. But
Needless.
this was like back in 2020. Heath and I, a handful of times we would kind of review board games we were playing at the time. And to keep in line with the trend of us only addressing board games when it's a very bad time for board games. We talked about them during COVID when no one could meet up and play games.
Yeah.
And now we're talking about them during the whole tariff situation, where some anecdotes I've heard from publishers have been like apocalyptic. Like, if the tariff situation remains unabated, 12 months from now, at least in the US, there will not be a board game industry. Just from my own experience, I had a shipment of board games I bought online mailed to me like en route in the mail. And before they arrived at my doorstep, I received an email telling me the shop I bought them from was shuttering its doors due to the tariffs.
Did you get the shipment?
I got it. It was like a lifeboat escaping the Titanic.
Oh.
It's not a good time to be selling
God.
board games right now.
Kind of heartbreaking.
It's really bad. I mean, it's one of my main hobbies. But to cut through some of the doom and gloom, what we've done for you today is interviewed all the members of our local board gaming group, asked them to come up with their 30 favorite board game list in ranked order. And we've aggregated them, smashed them together to create this amalgamation of our tastes. We've created our own top 30 board game list that we're going to be running through together according to our local game group. We have Samantha and Heath to thank. They contributed, as well as shout outs to friends of the show. Shout outs to Janice, Dan, and Corey for also giving us their lists. That was very nice of you guys to do. Heath, I only asked everyone for their top 30. What inspired you to rank 95 games?
Because I looked at your, I don't even know the name of the website.
Board Game Geek.
Yeah, I looked at your Board Game Geek list and I just I was like, how many of these have I played? And then I just ranked those. And let me tell you, this exercise was so much easier than our top 100 video games of all time.
Oh.
Video games are too long and too numerous to make a perfect list. And yet, as I hit send to Samantha, Ben Kingsley's line to Oscar Schindler at the end of the movie reverberated through my mind. The list is an absolute good. Corey was saying, oh, I need to change some entries. This is my Corey voice. Because he was already getting cold feet.
Already waffling.
My list, forget this aggregate. Mine will stand up to scrutiny for years.
I've seen his list, and we'll see what Chris has to say about that. Also, I really appreciate each and every one of you sending me your list in a different format. I felt like an elementary school teacher trying to get people to turn in their homework correctly. Chris, why were all your entries highlighted in green?
Oh, they were?
Oh, they were.
Is that like a hyperlink issue, maybe?
Heath sent me 95 when I asked for 30. Dan simply copied and pasted text into an email.
That's fine.
Which is fine. It worked. I could paste it into the Excel. It wasn't a big deal. Corey sent me his list hyperlinked to the BGG entry for each and every game,
So
in
it
case
wasn't
I
raw
wasn't
text.
familiar with games like Prussian Rails, which I've played loads of.
Yeah, what is that?
And then Janice generously provided commentary for each and every game that he ranked, and that some that didn't make the list, but he had comments about. So thanks everyone for your creativity in answering this prompt. Are we ready to get started?
Almost. We should special shout out to Samantha for doing all the legwork of compiling the aggregated list.
Yay.
Samantha, would you like to run us through the process you used to create it?
Sure. So there are 1 through 30 games everyone ranked. The first game gets 30 points. The second game gets 29 points, etc. The 30th ranked game gets 1 point. Any games ranked past that do not score. So if we mention a ranking, if it's below 30, had no bearing on the aggregate ranking.
And we summed them all up, and we did have a tiebreaker rule.
There were 2 tiebreaker rules. The first was, okay, let's say 2 games are tied at 60 points. We look at how many people put that game on their list. Whichever game had more people, that game gets the higher rank. The second level tiebreaker, because
If they
we
are
needed
still
it,
tied, which only happened one time.
is we looked to see which game had the highest absolute rank. So like if one game, 3 people ranked 5, 4, and 2, and the other game had like 31 and 2, the 31 and 2 game is going to win because of the 1.
Because of the passion.
Yeah, passion.
Very good. And that was our complete methodology. Shall we kick it off?
Yeah, let's get started.
Samantha also made a very funny slideshow. Heath and I are reacting blind to this. So Heath and I don't know the results. Samantha obviously does.
And if I seem like I am reacting blind, it's because I kind of tried to forget what the ranks were. All right, let's start off number 30, Android Netrunner.
Okay.
What the hell is this?
A game Chris and I have only played.
Oh my God.
So-
this does not bode well.
Don't worry, it's one of few like that.
I'm happy to see it. In my heart of hearts, I don't think it really belonged on our aggregate list because only Samantha and I care about it. This is a couples game for us.
The thing is, we like it a lot. It is a 2-player only game. It's really complex. It's really fun.
Is it coup for nerds?
It is, if you ask me, it is Richard Garfield's best design game. And yeah, that's me throwing shade at Magic the Gathering.
Got him.
Yeah, it's a very asymmetric game where one player is trying to jack into a corporation's like secret archives. The other player plays the corporation, trying to keep their trade secrets away from the hacker.
Guess which one of us is the corporation?
I love being the corporation. I see it in total received 35 points, which means no game made it on the list with one person alone. You needed a collaborator to chart on our aggregate list. That's interesting.
I do think everyone's number 1 game made it on the list.
Oh, that's good. I really like Android Netrunner, so I'm happy to see it. But since not many people in our group have played it, we should move on.
If you find a cool girlfriend who wants to play board games with you, you should look into it. All right, number 29, The Rich and the Good.
With a total of 35 points.
Yes.
Same as the other one.
We played this today.
That's your number 7?
I really like it.
Oh my gosh.
Samantha chose like a stonks background for this. This is a commodity stock speculation and manipulation game. It's quite simple, plays fast.
It's fun because big number go up, but also high society budgeting.
I like the part where I look at the up and down stock mechanic with a person.
Oh, Scrabble.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just like the fact that I can lean over and talk to Chris about what I see, and then lean over the other way and talk to Corey about what I see.
The asymmetry of information about how the stocks are going to change is the best part of this game.
Yeah, I love it.
Samantha ranked it by far the highest. It was her 7th favorite game.
I'm the reason it got on this list.
But she had support from Heath and Corey as well.
Me and Corey put it in the 20s. I feel strongly about that.
You feel strongly about putting it in the 20s.
Like, I feel vindicated that he agrees that it's in the top 20.
Well, I just think it's a good old fun time, and I really enjoy it, and I'm pretty good at it considering I won today.
I think it's a good game. I'm not thrilled to see it on our top 30 list,
It belongs in the top 30.
but I don't hate it
It's
either.
29, Chris. Relax.
Okay.
What do you put above it? Let's cue
Let's
it up.
find out.
Let's find out. Moving right along. Number 28, Comet. A game
Oh.
I've yet to play.
Chris,
Weird.
where's your Comet repping?
So Heath and Dan got Comet on the list. Heath boosted it. It was his number 9 favorite game.
It's in my top 10, yeah, for sure.
And Dan had it as his 16th. Digging up kind of from our archives, Comet has left my collection at this point.
Dude, the tech tree is so fun.
That is a very fun part
And
of
then
Comet.
what's the other part of Comet? It's area one I love area control.
it is one of the better area control games.
Number go up, you reposition the pyramids.
The pyramids are a nice thematic touch because they're a 4-sided die you rotate.
Oh, that's cool.
We have to teleport your scorpion or else Chris is going to get another victory point. What are you at a loss for Comet? You introduced it to me.
No, it's
This is your fault, Chris.
my tastes have slightly evolved since then.
He says evolved and not changed.
They chugga chewed away from Egypt.
Comet, it's going to eternally live in my mind as like the first fairly complex game I introduced to the group back in 2014 when our game group was just getting started. Nowadays, we're like, oh, it's fairly middleweight kind of game, but we were brain blasted after the first time we played it. Justin complained he was going to crash his car on the way home.
That's Justin.
And Janice's dad was like waiting late into the night in my house, waiting to pick him up because Comet would not end because we were so slow at it. So yeah, that was an enduring memory of early Comet for me.
We'll look back on 1889 in the same fashion in like 10 years.
I'll echo Dan's sentiment. Comet is an adventure every time we sit down to play it, and the strategic depth is deeper than your average rail game.
I wouldn't agree with that.
Does it have any auctions in it?
No.
Well, there you go.
Well,
That's Chris's argument.
Okay, as long as if you can guess the right number of what things are worth, how can you say that that's of a greater depth?
You say guess, but I say calculate.
All right.
Chris is just really good at math. All right, moving on to number 27. By the way, a little star here indicates 1 level of tie. 2 stars indicates double tie.
Oh, like Rich and the Good Hat.
Yes.
Number 27,
of-
Shikoku 1889.
So Heath, this was the one
Oh,
game
that's
you've
the
played
one.
that you didn't rank,
You're right.
but I don't think it would have made it in your top 30.
I must have looked at Chris's list and just glazed right over it.
Totally fine.
But it's his number 10 of all time.
Yes.
Yeah, so I was the biggest booster. It was my number 10. Samantha helped me out. It was her number 20.
Our last play of it was pretty good. What can I say?
I'm happy to see even Corey helped boost it. 38 total points. This has to be the only 18xx representative on our aggregate top 30. It's the only 18xx game on my list, mostly due to it being the one I'm most familiar with. I want to learn more 1830. It's such a similar rule set, but with even greater possible game states is what I've heard. So that intrigues me.
This is the first train game to show up.
First of probably many, I hope. Fingers crossed.
At least a couple more.
I'll say this. This one's economy is a lot more interesting than the train games to come.
It's also the most involved.
Getting stuck with a presidency, getting
dumped on.
dumped on.
The fact that the presidency can sometimes be a liability or a boon. That's interesting.
Also, I'll say that this game, the reason it made it into my top 30 is because Chris has conceded to play it on a computer instead of playing it physically in person.
That's
Why does that have any
Because
weight?
playing it in person is an absolute slog. The banking takes forever. Calculating routes takes forever. Keeping track of all the little things takes forever. A computer, I would say, is necessary to make this game enjoyable.
That's the
As
one
the
thing.
person who has to do the banking.
It's my number 10 game right now. I want to put it even higher, but the fact that it's arguably better as a video game is what's holding it back on my board game list.
Yeah.
The speed of play on 18xx.games is a big advantage. It's a game of constantly making change, and the computer just handles all that upkeep for you. Figuring out which tiles are eligible to be played, the computer just knows. Yeah, that's its crutch. It is just like better as a digital implementation.
Way better. Way better.
But the strategy is so deep. All right, we can move on.
It's pretty good. I like it. All right. Next up is number 26, Raw.
Our first Reiner, and wow, it appeared on everyone's list.
Not Corey. And technically not Heath.
Okay, Heath, it was below 30. For
I think it's the 40th best board game.
41st.
Okay.
Keeping me honest.
The biggest Raw fan is Janice and Dan are neck and neck. It was Janice's 13th favorite and Dan's
Those
14th.
boys love their bags.
We all know why Dan loves it.
It barely made the cut for me. It was my number 30.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good. It's a beautiful marriage of pressing your luck and auctions that really anyone can evaluate. You don't have to get really granular, and that's cool. It's just like evaluate this lot, and then you can only make a bid of 3 values. You only have 3 discs you can bid with. And it's a great game of bluffing, and playing this with Dan enhances the game.
Yes.
Because Dan is the guy who always goes for the home run, playing by himself, sole person in the run.
Dan loves to push his luck.
Yes.
And it's a delight to watch. I want to say Janice said as much.
Did you include any Janice notes on the screen?
Yeah,
or?
there'll be some later.
Okay, the good ones. Got it.
All right. What's number 25?
Number 25 is Automania.
Oh, weird.
Another game I have not
number
played.
3 favorite game of all time.
Yeah.
So Automania only appeared on Heath and Janice's lists.
I've enjoyed it every time we've sat down.
Okay. We played it a handful of times.
I think it's so much fun to see what's forecasted of the features of the automobile that are going to be valuable and playing around it and optimizing your factory floor and doing viticulture style complete the orders.
It's a worker placement game about assembling cars, and you're either building them for the American market or the European market. But there are a couple gimmicks to differentiate it. But to me, I think it's mostly just a bog standard Euro game. Middle of the road.
What's a Euro game that I've played that you think is better than Automania?
That you
Viticulture?
I'm not that much of a fan of viticulture these days.
Concordia?
I would much prefer Concordia to Automania.
Concordia's in my top 10.
Okay.
Here's what I like less about Concordia is I can get boned if I don't pay attention to the deck of cards. And if I don't buy them at a reasonable enough click, by the time I can afford them, they're already gone. Whereas Automania, it's so patently obvious what's going to be worth a lot of stars next time I go to sell a car. I think Concordia is greater obfuscation.
I don't know. Obvious moves, that just sounds like it lends itself to rote gameplay. Are you even thinking?
Yes. I have a better factory floor than mine's so much more optimized. Look at the spoiler that passes through the smart car and the sports car.
I've grown to appreciate a game with greater opacity means a longer time riding the learning curve and improving play instead of a game that plays itself.
Auction games.
Love me a good option.
All I heard was, I bid 17 for half of your share of this company with this modifier.
I've never played Automania, but everything you just said just sounds like it's horseless carriage.
It has the theme of horseless carriage, but mechanically it plays out way different.
All right.
It's much simpler.
I would imagine.
I just want to highlight what Chris said about how longer learning curve makes for deeper gameplay. Folks who are into board games, like Boys on a Map, yeah, they probably subscribe to what Chris just mentioned. But by and large, board game players don't have the time investment to get to the top of the learning curve to appreciate whatever you said. So I feel like you can splash around in the kiddie pool and have fun.
You can splash around in the kiddie pool and have fun. It's true.
But and Chris is like, I don't dive off the diving board unless it's a Marianas and a half.
We're talking about probably two different audiences here. There's many games out there that hold up very well for their first 4 plays and then maybe taper off once you've found an optimal path that will make you competitive no matter what. I no longer care about getting reps in those kind of games. If I'm going to play a game and keep it in my mind and in my collection, I want it to be a game I'm playing for the long haul. I don't want it to have a early expiration date.
He's committed.
And with that, what's the number 24th best game?
Number 24 is Scout,
All right.
our
Scout.
favorite circus-themed card game.
A very good shedding game.
Everyone at this table shit on it. We didn't put it in our top 30.
I like it. It would have been in my top 40.
Okay, yeah. All present wasn't in their top 30.
Yeah.
This is purely the boys.
The 3 folks not here
The 3 wise men.
got it to number 24. It was Corey's 9th favorite game.
I'm a little surprised Dan put it as low as 23. I feel like Dan's pretty good at Scout. He tends to enjoy himself.
I'm surprised it didn't crack your top 30, Samantha, as such a shedding game girl.
It almost did. So that's what I mean. It's in that range.
I've never not had a good time playing Scout. It's a really good crowd pleaser.
My only critique is sometimes you just draw a crap hand and you're like, well, I'm going to be miserable for the next 10 minutes.
And also, if you're always playing with the same person to your right.
Yeah. Yeah, I would know about that. All right,
Number
next
23.
up with a very dramatic presentation.
No
Because number 23 is Whitehall Mystery, baby. Thank you, Heath.
didn't believe it.
Hell yeah.
And let's go ahead and put a ribbon on it because we all know that this is the best game of all time.
Comes with a blue ribbon.
Listeners, you can't see the production values on this slide. Probably because Samantha ranked this as her number 1 favorite game.
I love this game. Let me talk about it. It's so fun. You can have up to 3 people on one side that are detectives, and you can be Jack the Ripper on the other.
If you've ever played Scotland Yard, it's the same game.
It's a hidden movement style game.
And I'm murdering people and trying to avoid Chris's notice. And the tension when Chris is like, haha, I've got you cornered, and I'm like 3 spaces away. I'm feeling so good. I love this game. I would play it every day.
Or when you go ahead, Heath.
No, I was going to say the only knock against it is that you could play with 4 players max. It's just not conducive to many game nights.
I suppose the investigation team, if it was greater than 3 people, it could just be a collaborative discussion on how to make the move.
Yeah.
You could jury rig it to work.
Yeah.
At some point, though, if you have like 6 people versus 1 Jack the Ripper, that's not really fair.
You just make Jack the Ripper twice as strong.
Oh, okay.
Like crazy, like decoy bodies. I don't know. I don't even know how that would work.
So am I reading this right? Whitehall Mystery achieved the rank of 23 only on Samantha and Heath's list.
Absolutely.
What's going on with Corey down there?
So this
That's
is how we
anecdotal.
find out that I looked at Corey's and your BGG accounts to look for fun quotes and facts. Corey doesn't leave any comments in his reviews, but he ranked it an 8 out of 10.
I think I did as well.
I didn't look.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Heath. You are absolutely cool.
There are going to be games after this entry, 1 through 22, and I'm going to be like, why is that above Whitehall?
I will be saying that about every single game.
Yeah.
Just a quick anecdote. The first day, Samantha and I were getting to know each other. The first day we played board games, we played Whitehall Mystery together. So it's a small shame. I immediately peaked.
It's all downhill from
It was
here,
all
bud.
downhill from here. I never found a better game for her than that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then I agreed to be your girlfriend.
Yeah, so I was the winner after all.
So
What's number 22?
number 22 is Innis.
Innis. This is my preferred area control game versus Comet. They come from kind of the same line of games. It looks like it appeared on 1, 2, 3 of our lists. Chris, Heath, and Janice. Heath, it's your second favorite game.
It's my second favorite game. This is the highest we've seen so far. I think passing cards that you don't want to your opponent and having the asymmetry knowledge. Ooh, we talked about Richard the Good had that. I think it's so good. Just shout out the pitfalls of Innis. It's like limited win conditions.
So circa 2018, 2019, it might have been more accurate to call us an Innis group instead of a board game group. We were playing it heavily.
Yeah.
I think we amassed nearly 30 plays of it. We were smitten with it. And as we grew very proficient with it, the game's one flaw kind of became very apparent, which is as our skills grew, we became very good at prolonging the game, at preventing someone from achieving victory. We could stall the winner very well because we knew what to look for, avoid any stealthy victories. And this game that should be 90 minutes quickly ballooned to a 3-hour affair.
Chris, what's the remedy for that issue?
Do you have a solution?
The deck of red cards, it's like this tall that I just keep getting a drip feed of. Aren't there more red cards than when we played those 30 games?
I did introduce an expansion that added more red cards. It also added a rule that kind of introduces a sudden death mode, which speeds things up a little bit.
I don't care about that.
Okay.
All I care about is the perfect like rock, paper, scissors gameplay of like, I have more guys, I have more monasteries, I have a citadel, and being Bren. The combat is so fun in Innis.
It's very novel.
Yes.
Where you're choosing whether to lose figures off the board for the area control.
I'm not going to punch.
Or you lose your actions. You lose cards out of your hand. And then the fact that at any time, if all participants in the fight are just tired of fighting, you can call a truce.
Yeah.
It's very funny.
Dan, listen to Heath. You would put this in your top 30 if you experienced the stack of red cards that the expansion introduced that add practically Mario Party twists to the formula that you're so familiar of. I think it has so much potential even now.
Can I just say, I've played Innis once with the two guys you're listening to here. And as stated, they've played this game 100 times.
Like 28 times.
It was a grueling experience because I felt like I was just drowning the whole time because I'm trying to learn this game. And they're both making expert moves each time. So don't play it with like seasoned veterans. You're just going to feel bad about yourself.
We'll just have you and Corey 1v1 each other for a while until you're at our level.
That would be nice.
This isn't Netrunner.
That's
Innis, a very good area control game.
And as the ship sails away,
Number 21, Cosmic Encounter. I expected to see it.
This is interesting.
It's Heath's favorite game. And Dan helped him out. It was his 8th favorite. So Cosmic Encounter is a very special game. It's where the namesake of this podcast comes from.
I wasn't going to mention that.
I couldn't help myself.
Yeah.
And it has the honor of when I hosted my first game night in January 2014, we played Cosmic Encounter.
Was it the closer? Yeah. It was like For Sale and Cosmic Encounter.
I think we only played Cosmic.
That makes sense.
Heath was present.
Yeah.
Heath, tell us about why is it your favorite game?
You know, you just heard me gush about Innis having cool cards. Cosmic Encounter has so many fun cards that Chris had to print out a little sheet to keep track of them all. And what's the most fun card of all, Chris?
There's so many valid answers to that question.
It's the flares.
Okay.
What makes the flares so fun, Chris?
They're novel in every game.
They're unique to each alien race, of which I've never repeated one.
You need not ever repeat one. There are so many.
Cosmic Encounter, it's a bounty of, albeit area control battle combat with some negotiating funsies. But with the keeping it fresh, same thing with that stack of red cards from Innis. Yeah, a stack of aliens that are all unique and fun. And what do you do in Chris's auction games where he owns every share and he has a stack of chips that I can't even see his belly button anymore? How do you defeat that? Oh, I guess we can team up, but he's just spin cycling and I can't beat that. What's the remedy that Cosmic Encounter has? Everybody in the galaxy unite against that guy. It's like you put your ships in the warp or whatever the destiny cone is.
Right.
I like a game that ends with all 4 other people trying to defeat that guy, and it makes it for a more balanced experience.
And Chris, what year did Cosmic Encounter release? Just to highlight that.
The original version, I
Yeah.
believe it's 1977.
So this game has held up like 50 years. I think that speaks to its quality.
It's had many reprints and new versions and editions.
If I had played this game more than the one time Chris has brought it out since I've known him, I think it would be higher in my thoughts.
Early on in our game group's history, there was a lot of Cosmic Encounter. It's still a very nostalgic pick for me. I'll never sell my copy.
Especially now, because it's probably worth more.
Because I won't be able to replace it.
Yeah.
But I really like the very light skeleton rule set the game presents of just very simple battles and negotiations and card play, that it is then filled with all the meat and variety you could ever hope for, with all the alien races and weird card abilities, that lends itself to never being the same game 2 times. It's great. It's
great.
The gamer's party game, I would say.
All right. Thanks for that, Heath. On to the next one, which is number 20, Go. A game, again, Chris and I are the only ones to have picked.
Go deserves to be on the list. I feel a little guilty again because it's not very representative of our group's tastes. It's me and Samantha only. But it was my 3rd favorite game. And wow, I'm surprised it's your 5th favorite game, Samantha.
I like Go.
What, too low or too high?
I thought she would rank it lower, personally. But no, she's a big fan.
It's the most I've ever thought about a game while playing it.
So Samantha did something incredibly kind, which was learn to play Go with me because I didn't have an opponent I could play this game with.
To explain why that was kind of me, Go's learning curve is absolutely brutal. Like, you need to be 20 games in to know how to play Go at any competitive level for someone who knows how to play.
Right.
So there's a lot of legwork to do.
It's cool that as you're learning it with someone, you can go through the process of slowly taking the training wheels off as we slowly but surely reduced my handicap against you until now you don't play with a handicap at all.
My first Go game, I just built a straight line of Go stones across the board. And I said, Chris, that's half the map. I've won. And you were like, yeah, I'm just going to build inside of that. And I said, oh. So that was a fun memory for me.
It's an intimidating game to get into. It's obviously, we were like, oh, whoa, Cosmic Encounter came out in 1977 when Go is ancient.
Go came out when humans came out, as far as I know.
Until recently, I have considered Go my favorite game. It's now slipped all the way down to number 3, just because there's a couple games I get a little more excited to play. But Go does the thing that I respect so much about a game design, which is a game with 3 or 4 rules that literally has endless depth. There's so much emergent complexity out of nothing.
You will literally never play the same Go game twice, even if you made it your mission to play Go every second of your life.
It puts you in such a flow state immediately, and I really like that feeling. It's like a magic trick.
Yeah. It's so cool, and it's got limitless potential. We could play that game until we're 110.
And I hope to.
Yes. All right, on to the next one. And that is number 19, Broom Service.
Broom Service recency bias.
Woo!
On 1, 2, 3, 4 lists.
Chris, you are the odd one out here, buddy. Everybody likes Broom Service.
Wait, Corey didn't put it in his top 30.
No, he didn't. But
probably because he's only played it once.
Yeah. He ranked it a 9 out of 10 on BGG, though.
Heath, have you played Broom Service once or twice?
Once.
And it's already your 5th favorite game of all time?
Okay,
That's a little,
okay.
little premature, maybe.
I'll defend the recency bias accusations. The reason Broom Service is so good is because it's got the press your luck thing. I'm 90% sure that I'm the only person playing Mountain Witch. I'm going to go for it. And the rush of adrenaline that you get if you nail it.
Yes, what would be a really random chance card play game is really elevated because you can make those hard reads by looking at the board state, anticipating how other people are likely to act, and then make a very educated guess that's still risky with, like you said, pressing your luck with the cards you play. The card play in Broom Service is so good. It elevates what would be a pretty unremarkable pick up and deliver game to a great game.
And in honor of Mother's Day, we can thank Chris's mom for getting this game for us to play.
My mom did us a real solid by finding it in the aftermarket eBay world.
Whoa.
Very cool of her. Total surprise. She's great.
Total surprise. I like that Janice and Dan are in absolute agreement. It is the 26th best game.
Balances me out.
Janice acknowledged that it could be recency bias. in his notes, by the way.
I don't.
I don't either.
The number of people ranking Broom Service having played it once is too high right now.
You
Chris.
name me a game that has more fun hard reads that isn't Mogul?
Broom Service is the game, Chris. Just acknowledge it.
Let's move on.
Yeah, all right.
Number
To
18.
Number 18 is Biblios.
Biblios.
Dan.
Dan's favorite game.
Biblios has long held the distinction. Dan has always said it's his favorite game, and lo and behold, Dan ranked it as his favorite
This
game.
is
True to himself.
cracked.
The surprising thing is that it's Janice's 5th favorite game, with the quote, most useless dice award. Heath, why so low?
I don't care for it.
Wow.
But Heath, it has the asymmetrical knowledge of like a face-up deck and a face-down deck.
And it has the push your luck you're so fond of.
And it has the modern art, different amounts of each card and each suit.
For the record, Heath ranked it as his 84th favorite game.
Out of 95.
Out of 95.
Yeah, I think I would enjoy it more if I played it more. That's all I'll really
How many
care to say.
Biblios reps have you had?
Less than 5,
Okay. Somehow you've missed most of our Biblios playing, I guess.
I guess, yeah.
I'm quite fond of Biblios. I hold it. I think a game that might come up later, I'm just speculating, is For Sale, and they're very similar to me.
I think For Sale's a little better than Biblios. I like Biblios fine, though. I think it's fun. I do feel like sometimes you're a little bit a victim of the cards that you see, but that's true of any card game, perhaps.
I really like the first phase of the game. It's pretty novel, where you're dealt one at a time. You have to make a tough decision of, do I keep this card for myself? Or am I going to see something even better? And I give this card I'm currently looking at to my opponents or throw it in the auction bin.
This is definitely a game where you are your own worst enemy.
Right. You can fall prey to your own hubris.
It's the horseless, I'm going to bring up horseless carriage again, where you are the reason that you are losing. You know, you're cursing
But
10 minutes ago, Chris.
very different reasons.
For very different reasons. All right. Thanks, Dan, for that. Number 17, we've got Through the Desert.
Through the Desert, a second Reiner game.
I think Through the Desert is fine. I don't really understand why you guys are all so hot for it.
You haven't played it nearly as much as us.
Janice was the hottest for it. What does Janice say?
Janice says this would be top 5 if it wasn't for the colorblind bullshit. Please, for the love of God, reprint this.
Yeah, it's funny that he's like, oh man, this would be top 5. And then he ranks it top 8.
It didn't fall that far. Yeah.
Corey's ranked number 10. That's also fairly high.
This is the closest
Wow.
Chris and I have gotten.
Yes, it's my 21st favorite. Heath's 25th. I am surprised by how high it is on Corey's. I know Corey is a big Reiner fan. I just didn't know he was so fond of Through the Desert specifically. Through the Desert was early in my Reiner career, and I hold it in a lot of esteem for that. There's actually a little bit of Go appeal in Through the Desert, the way you're trying to create your own sections of the board in an area control style way. It's really elegant. I think it does a lot. Once again, it does a lot with a little. All you ever do in Through the Desert on your turn, you add 2 camels to the board. That's it. That's all you ever do. And yet it's really tough priority juggling puzzle of, what do I need to do right now? What can I afford to sleep on until next turn? It's just a very elegant game.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Samantha, we'll turn you into a believer someday.
Maybe.
It'll never be a top 10 game for you, but I think we can make you fonder of it.
Okay.
I would maybe slightly criticize that there's too much weight put at the very beginning of the game when you place your leaders. That maybe decides like 50% of the outcome right there.
Yeah, that's not a mechanic I enjoy in a game. I think that your best decision should be in the mid to end game, not in the early game when you don't know what's going on. Cough, cough, brass. Stupidest game. We'll get to that.
All right, moving
Damn.
on.
Moving on. Number 16, Tigris and Euphrates.
Hell yeah.
Corey's
Wow,
number
Corey.
1 ranked game.
I did predict this would be Corey's favorite game.
You sure did.
Why?
Corey loves it.
Corey's favorite designer is Reiner Knizia, and many people consider it his best game. Myself included, I ranked it as my 7th favorite.
I put it as my 23rd, and Heath put it as his 55th.
Janice, I know Janice is known to hate it, and Dan didn't chart either for him. I don't know specifically Janice's criticism. I just know he hates it with a passion.
He just loses wars all the time.
It's so good.
Hey, Chris.
Yeah,
You ranked this number 7.
I sure did.
Why did we never play this game? It fell significantly on my list because I was looking at my list and been like, yeah, I haven't played Tigris and Euphrates in like a whole year.
I'm sorry about that. Partially it's because I have amassed quite a few plays, so it's a little old news to me. We should bring it out more, especially since it's Corey's favorite game after all. This is the civilization modeling game between Tigris and the Euphrates. It's very, in an abstract fashion, models the rise and falls of kingdoms over time, and it performs this simulation with a really cool, simple spatial game of playing tiles to a board, erecting monuments that people then fight over. I like how players kind of dynamically choose where the hotly contested zones on the board will be from game to game. They're not set in stone. The players' decisions dictate where they will be. It's just there's a lot of nuance to it of whether you attack through a revolt or initiate a war. And of course, needing to remain balanced at all times because your score is how many sets of 4 colored points you've amassed, not your best color.
I have a question about this game.
Yes.
Are there other maps of Tigris and Euphrates?
There is, if you flip the board over, there's one alternate map.
I feel like there should be more just because I know the default board, which is the only one I played on. There's like one spot where there's 4 rivers in a square.
Yep.
And I feel like that's kind of boring.
Because there's only one spot you can build a water-based temple.
It's like, if every game that's going to be a water-based temple, or if it isn't, it's because somebody made it their mission to stop it. It's like that area is too predictable for me.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I want more maps.
I put Ra above Tigris and Euphrates. A common flowchart that I was using when making my list was, does this game have more strategic depth? And then the follow-up question is like, but do I care? And I would much rather play Ra than Tigris and Euphrates just because the econ is really hard to get right. And you could say this also about the 18X games or like Imperial to some extent of like, look at this house of cards I've built for myself. Oh, it's gone in like a turn.
It does feel like that sometimes. To me, what raises it is I like how chaotic the wars can be.
The board is dynamic. Things can change on a dime.
So, it'll not be your turn. Corey will call a war that you are heavily disfavored in, and you will just absolutely get shafted. But you can do the same to Corey when it comes around to you. It's a fun time. I don't know how to win this game, to be fair.
Tigris and Euphrates has one of the rougher onboarding processes from a Reiner game. I remember that my very first game at Tigris and Euphrates, I remember leaving it feeling very tepid and being like, I don't really know what just happened. The game kind of just happened to me. And then as you amass more reps, it starts to show all of its secrets and nuances, and it becomes much more interesting. But it doesn't leave, I don't think this game is very often not going to leave a strongly favorable first impression.
It's my most underrated game that we've come across. I even put Babylonia above it.
Oh, I love Babylonia.
As long as we're on the topic of Mesopotamian games.
Yeah.
But by Reiner.
I feel like I would rather play Babylonia because I understand the mechanics better.
That I see why you would want that.
I guess I agree with you on almost every other case. I just feel like with Tigris and Euphrates, I can understand them. So I wanna do it.
It's within reach.
I'm like this close.
Yeah.
So I gotta play more. Chris won't let me though because he doesn't want me to win.
We've entered the top 15.
Yes,
15.
halfway through our list, number 15 is Fresh Fish.
Hey, I love to see it. Fresh fish.
Me too, because I was the highest ranked person for this game at number 9.
Myself and Dan are almost exactly in agreement with
Myself and Janice are close to that.
Yes, Chris ranked it 12th, Dan 11.
And Corey left it off.
Yes.
I guess technically Heath did, since it's his 33rd.
33rd, but it was close. Yeah, I love Fresh Fish. I just think the thought behind the stall placement and your disc placement is so cool. It's so fun. The first 2 games of Fresh Fish, I hated it.
Yeah, we were just talking about rough onboarding processes. This one's one of the roughest.
Yeah, if you're playing with people who like know how to play, the first game of Fresh Fish, you are going to score embarrassingly bad. And then you're going to learn how to play and you're going to have a good time.
The infamous mechanic in Fresh Fish is called expropriation, and that's how, according to an algorithm, the pathways on the board automatically spawn in certain places according to a rule set you, the players, must enforce. It creates a spatial game unlike any other because of this really unique mechanic. It is a bear to wrap your head around. It's also very interesting how certain minds will just click with it. My first game, I knew the rules of how to enforce them on paper in theory. I said them out loud to Janice and Dan. And then Janice was showing me how they worked immediately. Because for Janice, he just picked it up immediately. And I'm like, how do you know that?
He's an expropriator.
Right. I felt a little embarrassed as a computer programmer because it kind of follows an algorithmic rule set I should be able to enforce, but I couldn't until I played many more games of Fresh Fish. The cool spatial considerations with the tense auctions, and it's such a cool game. It can be mean. It's so one of a kind, and that's why I rate it so highly.
Also, this is my favorite kind of auction, which is a blind auction. I just think those are the coolest.
They're very tense.
I second that, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have their pros and cons.
I just think it's the fastest. I don't want to hear everybody increment up by 1 for 10 minutes. And it's the one where you can feel either the coolest or the worst.
Harder reads.
And I appreciate that. I think that's cool.
It probably lends itself to a higher standard deviation of bids.
Yeah. I don't like it when Chris can just nickel and dime people.
But the thrills of incremental gains.
It takes him out a little bit because he has to hard read, and he's pretty good at it, but he's not perfect.
Right. How could he be perfect?
Exactly. Heath, you have anything to say about Fresh Fish?
Shout out Kyle.
Okay.
To number 14.
Number 14, El Grande.
El Grande. Probably my favorite area control game. Very popular across
Corey,
the
number
group.
7.
Corey's 7th favorite game. Wow, I was 18th favorite. Samantha, your 19th favorite.
We're so in sync right now.
I'm a little surprised to see it miss Janice's list.
He's in Alcatraz for that. Dan at number 13. I see it.
Heath,
Yeah.
you rated it lower than I would have expected.
El Grande is a fantastic game. There's just 36 other games superior to it.
I see. What rubs you about it the wrong way, or any criticisms come to mind?
Hey, I like Scout, but it didn't make my top 30.
Sure. Yeah.
You know?
Every game of El Grande is so similar.
Really?
Yeah.
In broad strokes, sure, but the turn-to-turn, it's so tactical.
This is why it's, yeah.
And the mix of the 5 face-up cards you have to choose from, just one of them being different could change the whole round quite a bit. I feel.
Agreed.
Okay.
These are all great points.
I think it's one of the cleaner and more interesting area control games out there. It was one of the first, so you have to give it credit for that.
And don't forget the Castillo, you can lift the little door and the guys come pouring out.
Don't let that sway you.
It has the dramatic reveal of where everyone's airdropping at the end of a scoring round.
Yeah.
No, once again, it's a game that does quite a bit with relatively little rule set wise. And I'm a big fan of El Grande.
I think it's a cool, fun game.
When I first played it back in 2017, I think it was briefly my favorite game, and now it's slipped down to number 18.
The first time I played it, I wasn't the biggest fan, but it has grown on me since then. A common pattern, because I'm always playing with you guys who are veterans at everything.
It's one of our more played games.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just, you were initially not a fan because you felt like you were...
I think it was my first area control game ever.
Okay.
And I was just like, how do I control the area? You know?
You were getting up to speed, learning the game, and you were swimming with sharks already.
Yeah. Dan was like, I'll do that for you. And he ate my area. And I was like, why? All right. Number 13 is Modern Arts.
Modern Art. Okay, another Reiner Knizia game.
Samantha and Dan are of the same mind.
Yeah, Dan, I see you ranking at number 10. I ranked at number 13.
Corey was the biggest fan at number 4.
Corey, big fan of Modern Art.
Corey, big fan of games that come in little boxes, I think.
Modern Art's kind of
No,
small.
Tiger City phrases.
It barely made my list at number 27, and Heath was the biggest hater, maybe. It's your 60th favorite game, Heath?
My 60th favorite game.
It's because of the nickel and diming auctions, I'm guessing.
Even when I ally myself with someone and we run the table in terms of I'm getting $80 from my artworks, it doesn't dopamine as hard as 59 other games.
Okay. I like how transparent the painting values are. I feel like in auction games, sometimes that holds me back from enjoying them more, is like, I know the value is too opaque to me, and Chris is going to be like, yeah, that's a plus. But I like having a better feel of knowing exactly which levers I can pull to make a painting worth something. And I like the thought process you have to do of, am I overpaying for this painting? And if so, am I overpaying to someone who's losing to me or is winning to me? Because that's a consideration I make a lot. Like, I'll never overpay for a painting if Chris is selling it. But maybe if somebody else is, I'll do it.
I've heard criticisms, people saying, for the same reason you just said, Samantha, people critique modern art for the value of the artwork being too calculable. I personally push back against that a little bit. I think evaluating the price of the artwork is a little murkier than some people might give it credit for.
It's conditional.
Yeah, it's conditional.
It can fall apart.
There's always the threat of a painting cashing in at $0 at the end of the round if it places fourth.
Yeah. I just like, I can pull a lever if I need to, unless my cards suck. And I shouldn't have bought that painting. Anyway.
I think there's some interesting nuances with the hand management of trying to juice a certain artist you have a lot of in the early game, get them to chart a couple times, but then save your big double auction card for the last round when the highest prices are going to be fetched. Considerations like that, or not buying a painting because you know you'll get a certain partner and a certain artist you two can push together. It just does a lot with a little, and that's a theme of the games I generally like.
My one critique is whenever you draw a double auction painting and then you don't draw any more of that color.
Right.
Just feels bad.
Yeah, if you were dealt an unfortunately low number of double auction paintings, you are kind of at a handicap, and I don't like that part of the game.
Yeah, I wish everyone just got one.
That's a house rule people do, where you were guaranteed to get one, and then we deal things out.
Okay. That could ameliorate that.
Kyle Art.
Okay.
Freshers Kyle. Okay. Number 12. Let's see it. For sale.
We're in the auction pocket of this list.
Chris, check out Heath's rank for sale.
Oh my God.
I interviewed Chris before this podcast, and I said, Chris, what do you think everyone's number one game is going to be? Chris said, For Sale is going to be Heath's number one game.
I thought it was your favorite game, Heath.
I talk it up, right?
We shouldn't keep the viewers in suspense. Heath ranked it 34.
Right. The biggest fan was Janice and Dan at 6 and 7, respectively.
Corey ranked it 11. Chris ranked it 28. I like For Sale. It just didn't make the cut.
Damn.
I like it.
For all we know, it's Samantha's 34th favorite game.
It might be. Yeah.
I'll just see flowchart.
See flowchart.
Does this game have more strategic depth? And then do I care? And I couldn't bring myself to be like Age of Steam, there's more game there than For Sale. I love a good game of For Sale, but that's just because I know what number 18 house is worth.
This is one of our group's most played games. But no, I respect its flexibility. It's a short filler game that you can whip out and finish in no time at all. I think it functions pretty well from 3 players all the way up to 6 players, and that's a big benefit. Not many games are that player count friendly. And you're just the back half of the game where you're just mind melding, trying to anticipate what order are people going to play cards on this lot of checks. That puzzle never gets old to me.
That's a good fun time.
Yeah, in my mind, other games of greater variety have those interesting decisions.
Yes. I'd say For Sale's biggest advantage is that it has pretty interesting decisions packed into just 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It's so breezy.
Yeah.
Very good. Moving on.
Number 11. It's the worst game on our list. I've made a very creative slide for this because it's Brass, a game I am a absolute known hater of.
Whoa, Janice sending it.
I have played Brass 3 times because I love Chris very much.
She's tried both Birmingham and Lancashire.
I have never felt so much despair playing something that is meant to be entertainment. that includes films I've watched, TV shows I've watched, video games I've played. I will play Brass when Chris gets down on one knee and begs for it.
This is the least favorite game I've ever shown you.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Every other game I will play with you just fine. Brass is just awful.
It's all right.
So to go through the rankings, Janice it's his third favorite game.
Heath and Dan are
Very aligned.
echoing each other.
13th and 15th respectively, and I had it as my 20th favorite game.
Notably, Corey also did not put it on his list. He ranked it a 5 out of 10 on BGG, which I thought was too generous.
Samantha,
I hate this game.
don't you love taking little pieces off of a board and it making your engine faster?
I hate that my cards are they're so random. It's like, how do I even play this game when my hand looks like this? I can't.
I think, every so often you get the iron plant and every so often you get
When Chris spawns his iron mine on top of mine, I am like, I would like to stop playing this game.
I'll come to Brass's defense a little bit. I will say, when I was first introduced to Brass, it was there's some nostalgia attached to it because it was one of the first more economic leaning games I played. The fact that I was managing debt and trying to boost my income and balance that between pivoting to scoring just straight up victory points, that was very novel to me at the time. I have now found games that scratch the economic itch to a greater extent. And so Brass has fallen from what would have originally been a top 5 game for me down to the 20th.
I should mention, my rank 13 is specifically for Lancashire.
Everybody's got combined.
Yeah, if it were only Birmingham, I think I would sink down to 20.
Okay.
Like you, Chris.
My preference is Lancashire, but they're close to me.
I think everybody either left it blank or said both or Lancashire. I don't think anyone said just Birmingham. Email me if I'm wrong.
Janice probably said Birmingham?
Maybe.
Okay.
He might have said both.
What I still like about Brass to this day is the opportunities that open up and you just can't help but jump on. The fact that there's that fluctuating coal and iron market, and the fact that a player depleting it, all of a sudden they'll be like, how can I pivot to suddenly spawn more and get a payday?
Yeah.
Or if someone makes it flush, you're like, okay, all of a sudden developing is cheap. I should probably hop on that.
I like how much this game requires me to think about it for then my decision to be totally random. It's like you need to think about every single aspect of what are you speccing into? Oh, what's your placement look like? Where are you going to put roads? Also, when it's your turn, any plans that you had may have just floated down the river. You would just place your canal boat in because they're going to be gone. I hate this game. Oh my God.
It's okay, Samantha.
This is unfounded.
I'll never force you to ride the learning curve, but I think some of your criticisms stem from unfamiliarity.
I never could have predicted this.
I know. I thought
This is out of character.
It's the only game I've come close to tears while playing because I've been so frustrated.
Her passionate hatred for it did strike me out of left field. I did not see that coming.
I am a normal, reasonable person. This is the only game I've ever given Chris shit about. Every other game, even like what's a rough hang for me? I don't know. I haven't won Go in forever, and I still love that game. I'm not a sore loser. It's just brutal. Brass just sucks.
Feel good. It's not in the top 10.
Rose-tinted lenses, both of you.
Brass-tinted lenses.
Yeah, there you go.
To counter slightly, the hand of cards you're dealt, while it can dictate your ability to play due to RNG a little bit.
There's lots of opportunities.
The fact that you get to take 6 different actions in Brass, and only one of them it matters what card you're playing. The other 5 actions you can use to mitigate the randomness and toss the chaff out of your hand.
Okay, I have the card. Heath just immediately took the spot I was gaming for, and I'm so specced into X that I can't take advantage of these other opportunities.
But no, you can mitigate the luck again in Brass by just doing a scout action.
I've done that to some
Which gives you a wild card. You can go anywhere you want.
It's not really the RNG that's getting me down. It's that everybody else is trying to ruin my life on accident.
That's not feel good when you are incidentally blocked.
Yeah, that's what we talked about post our last Brass game. There's way too much incidental blocking. My suffering is not even on your radar because you're so busy just playing your little game. And I'm over here looking at Chris's turn and Heath's turn being like, well, those were my 2 options. Guess I'm going to cry now.
Well, I mean, why isn't fresh fish the same way?
I love fresh fish. There's always an opportunity in fresh fish.
You want someone to look at you in the eye and have them acknowledge this is an attack.
Yeah, and fresh fish, when you place a disc down in a cool spot that you know I want to place in, it's not incidental most of the time.
Okay.
Brass is, you're like, oh yeah, I'll place a copper mine there. And I'm like, well, there goes my whole structure.
I guess I've never drawn the short straw in brass.
I've never not drawn it. Anyway, we can stop talking about brass because I'm not going to change my mind.
Then we're going on to our top 10.
Top 10. Woohoo.
Well, let's start announcing how many points they've earned.
I threw it away.
With 75 points.
The Estates.
75 cumulative points. The Estates.
With a quote.
I found this on BGG. Chris ranked it number 11 and calls it the meanest auction game I've played.
Which is a big boon for me. I wasn't even the highest person to rank it, though, because Corey ranked it number 3 and Dan ranked it number 4.
I feel like Corey ranked like a couple of games number 3.
And it's towards the very bottom of Heath's rankings because it's number 89 out of 95.
Hey, I'll play Biblios before I play Estates.
Estates hater, huh?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Never has there ever been more a game where my little house of cards is gone in a moment.
The game state can swing wildly.
Yes.
It's true.
I think that's part of the fun. Sometimes you get negative 40 points. Sometimes you get 40 points.
I've won it once.
It's all part of it.
And I think I didn't even care. I wasn't even trying to win.
That is how you win, is by throwing caution to the wind.
It's such a dirt simple auction game.
Emphasis on dirt.
Because you're constructing buildings, skyscrapers.
This is Heath's brass moment.
I have to come out as a defender. Samantha, it's not on your list. How do you feel about the Estates?
Oh, it's a good time. I do feel a little of Heath's criticism of it does feel like sometimes you're just dumpstered because you're an easy dumpster target, and that doesn't feel very fun. It's like I can't win every auction.
Right. You can be put in a position where you're in the end game. The table's like, well, you have nothing better to do than harm a certain player, and only one player is eligible to have their score reduced.
Yeah.
So they dogpile them.
That's probably why it doesn't make it in my top 30.
I think part of being a good Estates player is putting yourself in a position to avoid taking on that negative points at the end.
It's hard to do because you're not in control of every variable. Yes, you can only choose to own companies that maybe the cubes come out in a more controlled fashion. You could place them in a way that makes them harder to build up too high. There's things you can do, but it's not fully in your control.
Every move in the Estates is so consequential. The fact that the game is a completely closed economy is pretty unique, and it's so interesting that everything you buy and bid, you are handing stacks of cash to another player.
Oh, I like that, though.
Being the auctioneer it's always such a tantalizing decision when it gets back to you, and you have to decide, do I accept the money or do I pay that other player themselves? Which way do you go? And as a bidder, it's so interesting. Sometimes you're trying to win the thing because you want the control of developing the board, or you could just try to bait a payday out of the auctioneer and get money out of them for something you don't even want.
I would like the Estates more if I had a better sense of auctioneer setting the price as well as I do in modern art.
I think I actually feel the exact same. I feel like I don't have a strong sense of what's the right bid to make him pay me versus what's the right bid that I can win this.
I don't disagree with what you guys are saying, but I view that as a positive. Once again, I'm Chris, who likes opacity in games.
I know what this portrait of Manuelo Coelho is worth.
Right. It's going to be worth no more than 30.
I have no idea what a Magenta 5 is worth.
And that's so much more interesting to me.
It's
okay.
Subjective. Like
go be interesting.
You might calculate it with your brain and be like, it's worth this much to me. I will pay Samantha. Corey might look at it through a different lens. And it's not always to do with a person's build. You know what I mean? I feel like the subjectivity of it does make it a little trickier. Someone might not be acting in their own best interest, and that can be frustrating. It
can be frustrating. My counter is when your game plan is sunk because someone misevaluated the price of something, it's only a 45-minute game. It's so fast.
I am not the hater that Heath is. It's a valid criticism.
I think other games do what the Estates tries to do better than the Estates.
You've just
I
made
don't
an
know.
enemy of Corey. He loves the estates.
Well, let's see what Corey's number 9 pick is.
All right, we're moving on to our aggregate number 9.
Number 9.
With a total of 75 points as well.
And that is Prussian
Rails.
Did you make that?
Yes.
Wow.
For Chris's
dude.
birthday last year.
I'm
Samantha
looking at a birthday cake.
made me a Prussian Rails themed cheesecake last year, which is a crazy move. She's the best
Calling me
girlfriend.
crazy?
Even on the cake, yellow is in prime position to take
Of
it.
course it is.
It's kind of unbalanced though, because Chris City is worth 28 income boost to the whatever company connects.
Berlin, that is not. Berlin's only worth however much.
So let's talk about what we rank this, because I was the highest ranker at number 3. I am a big fan of Prussian Rails. It's such a good time. I'm sorry you don't like it, Heath.
Myself and Corey also helped boost it. It was in all of our top 10s.
Corey ranked at number 6. Chris ranked at number 9. Heath ranked at number 73.
So this is the first Cube Rails game on the list.
Sure is.
I hope to see maybe one more at least.
The best part about Prussian Rails is the randomly generated turn order / do you get turns?
Right. You might not even get a turn in a certain round.
Heath does not care for that.
It can feel really bad sometimes. Like the game Chris told me about where he got 2 turns in the beginning of the game and then did not see a turn until the very last cycle. But sometimes it can feel really cool when you're getting turns where it feels like you're not really supposed to be getting them.
I do have my criticisms with the random bag pull to determine turn order in Prussian Rails.
If Corey were here, he'd back me up.
I think while the bag pulls for turn order probably do even out over the course of a game, the fact that early turns are so much more consequential, if you're boned in the early game, you maybe never recover. And that's just a thing that can happen in this game through no fault of your own. You can manipulate the odds, though, by ensuring you have the lowest income, but it's no guarantee.
Sometimes you have the lowest income like Heath did, and Samantha with the highest income shows up anyway on the turn order.
Yeah.
And Heath cries.
But that's just part of the game. It does make the game really dynamic. It's a feature, not a bug, that it works this way. And the fact that every round you see the unique turn order that's happening, and that can inspire methods of collusion between certain players that you wouldn't otherwise see. I think that's the biggest boon to the turn order randomness. And just pressing your luck once again. You can hold onto your early capital, hoping you get those early turns so you can call auctions and buy things cheap. Risks like that. It rated so highly for me because I'm just such a fan of economic Cube Rails games in general that this one, it's a top 10 game for me.
This is the best Cube Rails game.
I
Gulf
slightly
Mobile, Ohio.
push back.
What a weird pick. Okay. Yeah, it's my favorite. I hope one day I find one I like better, but I don't know if I will. Okay.
We're moving on to our number 8.
Number 8 is Imperial.
Imperial.
This was our 2-way tie, noticed by the 2 asterisks.
I am happy to see it with 76 points total.
Heath, you and I are so in sync right now.
And Corey, once again, having like a dozen or so games from his top 5.
This was Corey's second favorite game. Wow.
And rightly so. It's so cool.
It is really cool.
It was my 8th favorite and Samantha's 18th and Heath's 20th.
I think it's just better 18xdx.
It's certainly streamlined, simplified 18xx.
You just said simplified, and this is the one that has the spin cycle.
Yeah.
Which is not simple.
That's just smashing a button.
I know,
over
but
and
if
over
you're a
again.
beginner, you're like, what? How are you generating?
Sure, but the first time you see it happen, it'll then make sense why the person's doing it.
Okay, yeah.
Once I figured out how to play Imperial, my opinion of Imperial rose like to the ceiling. Janice didn't put it on his list because of what you did to England, Chris.
Yeah.
Janice is...
Let's maybe not mention how we misplayed Imperial the first 2 times we played it. Imperial is excellent. It's been such a grower for me. I started out kind of middle of the road on it, and now that we've amassed more than a dozen plays, I've started to plumb the depths of Imperial. There's a lot to enjoy here.
Corey, when he ranked his, combined his with Imperial 2030, which I thought was a fun addition to the traditional Imperial map.
A new map
Yeah, it's like a full world map.
Okay.
with different countries. This is a game about investing in countries during World War I and then kind of war profiteering. It's a rather dark theme.
This is how I found out that this game takes place during World War One.
Which war did you think it took place
Austria
in?
is a faction.
I just thought it was a made-up war. I don't know.
Austria started the war.
I'm not a history girl.
Archduke Franz Ferdinand. you know.
Yeah, he died.
You know how to make Berlin on a cake, but you're not a history girl.
Yep. There you go.
Can we muster any more praise for overall 8th favorite game?
It would be higher on Heath's list if I've never touched Russia. I've only either been like Germany or Italy or sometimes the UK. Can definitely feel the same a lot of the time.
You say that, but I have seen each of the 6 nations end the game as the strongest.
I feel like I'm learning new
I
things.
can't even imagine that.
It's true. The one that was maybe the most suspect, the one time England finished it off, the player pushing England made it their whole game to do it.
Okay.
But then they did not win.
Yeah.
And they did not. It was too high a cost, but they pulled it off.
Yeah. I think I'm learning new things about this game every time I play it, and I think it could rise for me.
Here's what I'll say about Imperial, since it often gets compared as just a slightly shallower 18xx game. And I kind of agree with that, but I think it lends itself to the better board game experience, just in the sense that we don't have the familiarity with 18xx to play it in quite a reasonable amount of time just yet, where Imperial is just kind of a regular board game. You'll be done before the 3-hour mark.
You'll be spin cycling before the 4 trains come out.
There's not nearly as much upkeep and payouts to distribute as an 18xx game necessitates. Well, 18xx is probably the better lifestyle game. Imperial has 85% of the depth and in a more approachable, completable package, and that's why I ranked it so high.
And my hot take about Imperial is you should play without the investor card. I think it's better that way.
Both have merit, but
I need that.
No, it's better.
I make much more money with it.
You make money, but at the opportunity cost of buying countries. You could buy countries more often without it.
I don't think that's true.
The jury's still out for me. I think I'm currently leaning no investor card.
Okay, you agree.
So
with
I
me.
agree with you, Samantha.
I was about to refute you
Okay.
on accident.
Moving on to our number 7 game.
Which also got 76 points. And that is Chicago Express.
Hell yeah, dude.
He's getting upset.
This is Chris's number 1 ranked game.
This is my favorite game.
This is my number 10 ranked game. Dan ranked at 19. Corey ranked at 18. Heath ranked at 67.
It's better than Prussian Rails.
So yeah, I am a sicko for Cube Rails games. They're so much fun. This was my first one, so it holds a little bit of a special place in my heart. It's kind of like the most robust one to me. It kind of set my expectations for the genre, so maybe I'm biased in that way.
A little bit.
But it's no frills, but there's so much depth to explore with such a simple rule set.
So, I don't know if there's so much depth. I think Age of Steam has more depth.
My main critique of Chicago Express is going to be what I said earlier, where I feel like on some turns, there is one correct move that you should make. And sometimes, perhaps the person you're co-invested in is not making that correct move, and you can't talk them into it. And you're just like, well, I could be doing better in this game, but through no fault of my own, I am not. And I am
That is frustrating.
the person sometimes making that wrong move.
I think our group's level of play has risen such that people are, by and large, acting in their best interest.
For the most part.
I didn't today.
Chris, this is a critique I've heard you levy at Chicago Express.
Right. It's frustrating when your co-shareholder is throwing the game for no reason and you can't convince them otherwise.
Especially when they're throwing to Chris, of all people. He does not need the help.
I won't argue with when that happens.
Can't spell Chicago Express without Chris.
But no, I went on a journey playing this game where a lot of the heuristics I've developed in these co-investment economic games, I learned while playing lots of Chicago Express. I played it over 30 times now. And it was such a fun learning curve to ride where initially I saw red split 3 ways enough times in a row where I was like, oh, red's a trap. And then I was like, oh, if you're the initial red shareholder, you just have to make it your game to make sure that doesn't happen. And then red's the most valuable company around. There's all these challenging my assumptions of playing more and more Chicago Express that was so cool to learn. The value of holding on to cash to price enforce or to make sure no one's getting a good deal on this auction share. The fact that in a game like this where you put something up for auction, you don't strictly care about just making sure you have the best ROI. You care about who does the share end up with and how does it change the incentives of how players spend their turn around the table. Sometimes it's worth overpaying for a share just to make sure another player at the table doesn't become your worst enemy and they stay your collaborator. so much to consider. The fact that the Wabash, the black company, may or may not enter the game at the end, and the brinkmanship around who triggers the dividend. I want to keep playing Chicago Express over and over again. I love it so much.
A fond memory I have, Chris, is when we owned one red share apiece, and we were doing really well with it. We were going to hit Chicago. The other two players wouldn't auction the third because they wouldn't win it. And we wouldn't auction it because the minute one of us won it, the other person was absolutely going to tank red and make it not hit Chicago. So we just cautiously coasted to Chicago, each kind of glancing at each other, making sure the other was going to make a false move, trying to get that third red.
Did red hit Chicago that game?
I think so.
That's
I think we made it.
Crazy. That's not supposed to happen.
We made it happen through the power of friendship and fear.
And mutually assured destruction. Yeah.
Exactly. So that was a fun memory. I like this game, obviously. Ranked at 10. It's just not as good as Prussian Rails.
What makes the difference for you? Is it the turn order?
It's like what I said. Chicago Express, sometimes there is a right answer of what to do, and that makes me feel uncool. You know, sometimes I feel like I'm just playing correctly, and I'm not thinking a lot about it. I'm just like, oh, well, I must do this.
That's kind of describes things Heath likes about some games, where he's like, the right move is so obvious. But
it's less cool when you got to do the cool thinking, and then you put me in a corner, and I'm like, well, now I have to dilute this company. Boring. I sleep.
Well, it's certainly not every move where it's obvious.
No.
And the beautiful thing to me about Chicago Express, a deterministic game with no random setup. A slightly different decision here or there has massive butterfly effects that change the outcome of the game. And it's so interesting to see those points where the timeline just diverges. Yeah. It's such an interesting experiment.
I'm going to try to predict the rest of this list and say that same thing is true of Age of Steam, but it's much more readily apparent because I can see the fucking cubes. Whereas, like, what is the value of this or that with the intrigue that Chris is trying to say about I got to breadcrumb these allies so they don't tank my engine? Like, if I can't see it, I don't believe it. Santa Claus isn't real.
Moving on to number 6.
Power Grid.
Wow, higher than I would have expected.
This is interesting.
Thanks, Dan. You're a real one.
Power Grid is Dan's second favorite game.
That's because Dan knows what games are worth.
I never would have guessed.
I put it as number 6. Heath and Chris ranked it at number 15.
Wow, we're exactly aligned,
Yep.
Heath.
Power Grid, fantastic game.
Was this a pretty big jump up in points? Power Grid earned 86 total points against Chicago Express is 76.
Yeah, we're scaling higher as we increase in rank. What's great about Power Grid, the fun auction of what power plants I'm going to get, to the, oh no, the market is so crazy with the different resources, to the absolute versatility in all the different maps you can play, where each one is like a fresh experience. Chris introduced this game to me with a huge caveat saying, this is a really dry game. I don't know if you're going to like it. If you don't, it's totally fine.
Oh.
I came out of it so hot. I was like, this is great. I don't know why you caveated this game. I would like to play it again as soon as I can.
I apparently undersold her on Power Grid and oversold her on Brass.
Absolutely.
Because you have no idea how much income you're going to generate in any given turn of Brass.
Yeah. It's a mystery.
Whereas Power Grid, boop, 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 I can calculate if things go my way, I can power all 5 of these.
Power Grid, it's a very incremental game of slowly but steadily upgrading your ability to power more cities, expanding. The fun of Power Grid is in the nuance of kind of riding the turn order curve. When do you zig and zag? It's like bicycle drafting. When is it the right move to expand your network really fast, gobble up those high priority cities, and then tank your turn order position? Or when do you ride the coattails, stay in the back of the pack, don't get over ambitious, but then you get priority purchasing on resources, the best spot for buying plants in the auction, and any spot in between. It's not a catch-up mechanism. It's a mechanic to be manipulated.
I particularly like the managing of the resource market. I feel like it's
so simple.
But it's so interesting because you get to the resource market and a lot of little decisions have led you to your position there. So like, yeah, it's simple knowing what to buy, but you had to be thinking about it all the way through all your auctions you've done.
Figuring out which kind of plants you're speccing into.
You're like, no one's into nukes. I'm going to get the nuke plant. And then Corey buys another nuke plant. You're like, I'm getting out of nukes.
Sure.
Yeah.
The only count against Power Grid is I've never played on the full map because we've never had the player count to do so.
There is no player count that lets you play on the full map.
What? Why is there a full map?
Even at max player count, you remove one section.
But Pro ZD was like, 5 can play at that game.
Yeah, it goes up to 6 and you never use the full map.
What?
That's true.
Don't listen to him. You could just use the full map. No one can stop you.
I think
I
it's not
think
balanced.
it unbalances. It's too loose. Once again, it has a pretty easy rule set most people can learn, and there's a lot of depth there, more than I expected after my first play. My only knock against Power Grid is the game lasts a little longer than I'd like it to.
I think that is a tiny bit fair, but it doesn't bother me because I'm having fun. And so is Dan.
Yeah, Dan loves it, apparently.
Dan and I are best friends right now.
Any final thoughts on Power Grid?
I'm just upset because I'm realizing how many games I'm not going to talk about.
Oh, we can talk about
We're
the
approaching the top 5.
All right. The Hall of Fame for Mobius Tube's Cardboard Corner. Top 5 games. Number 5 is Indonesia.
Indonesia.
With 89 points.
I breathe a sigh of relief that there's at least one Splotter game on the list.
Samantha's number 2 ranked game. Dan puts it at number 9, Chris at number 5, and Heath at number 19. Indonesia, fantastic game, wouldn't you say, boys?
It's really, really cool.
Merging 2 companies is almost as good as when I evade Chris in Whitehall Mystery. It's the only thing that comes close.
As a singular mechanic, the company merger ability in Indonesia, it's one of the best mechanics and moments in all of board games.
Yes.
The fact that you can rip 2 companies away from 2 other players, put them up for auction, and a third unrelated player is the one who buys it and pays them. It's so crazy. It's so dynamic.
The very first game of Indonesia, I heard Chris and Dan going, yeah, we're the Rice Boys, because they had each a rice company. And then on my merger turn, I took that rice company away and made it mine. And I watched their faces absolutely fall. The best moment of board gaming yet. I have never reached that high again because it's never become such a surprise. But yeah, this game is great.
Indonesia deserves to be high up on our list because I think it avoids all the pitfalls that we've complained about other games that were less deserving. It's got a great turn order picker. It's got not punishing starting location dropping.
Absolutely.
And it's got an econ that's not opaque, but of great enough depth with the addition of mergers and stuff. And it doesn't take too long to pay out the shipping costs.
That is kind of annoying.
Final round can be a little arduous.
Yeah.
We need like a Indonesia and like a smaller, tighter package, like a Malaysia. That's a geography joke.
Online Indonesia might be a little bit better.
The decision each round of which upgrade you make on the tech tree is never easy. I'm 10 plays in and I'm still messing it up because you want everything so bad. They're all so useful of whether you increase your ability to call mergers, the fact that you can own more companies with slots, the fact that if you've spec'd into shipping, you really want to up your hull. They're all so valid, and it's so hard to know which one is the best for you right now.
Gosh, I took exception to you calling it a tech tree just now.
Okay.
It's more like a tech fork. It's just, they're rows.
I can't upgrade my merger and then upgrade my merger in a special
tree
way.
needs to be
There's no branches.
spreading.
Yeah.
Yeah, Indonesia's great. There's a lot of really interesting financial moves you can pull.
Komet has a tech bush. All right, I'm done.
All right, number 4. Technically tied with Indonesia, but it's the Great Zimbabwe. We're getting all of our Splotter games out now.
Wow.
Yes.
We're so much more splatter-pilled than I knew we were.
And to quote Janice, who ranked at number 19, constant feeling of drowning, but in a semi-good way.
What praise.
I ranked at 11, Chris 6, Heath 24, and Dan also 6.
Yeah, Dan and I are of a single mind about the Great Zimbabwe.
I definitely remember my first play of Great Zimbabwe feeling more of the drowning, and now I feel more of in the semi-good way.
Great Zimbabwe is so good, and it's so unique. Like the fact that you're creating this shared economy together, opening shops, going to visit each other's shops, paying each other money.
The way you say it sounds more cutesy than
Right.
it is. It's so brutal.
It can be brutal.
Yeah.
I mean, there's definitely moves people are making that you're like, oh, thank goodness you did that. There can be collaboration in the Great Zimbabwe. but you don't want to be giving people too good of a deal, for long anyway. But the game is so hard to figure out. The fact that everyone gets to choose an asymmetric power, the fact that you take on powers but increase the threshold of your victory point requirement. It's such an interesting currency to pay for extra power with.
It's so good, though.
It's so
perfect
good.
balancing.
What, the cows? What?
I've never seen a game where everyone has their own personal finish line they're trying to reach, depending on how powerful they've made themselves with abilities.
It's perfect, though. It completely balances the fact that some of the abilities are absolutely god tier, and some of them you're like, does this even count as an advantage? Right.
And yet they all have their uses. It's possible to win without taking any game-breaking powers. You just take, I think it's the god Zango, who reduces your threshold.
Yes.
And you sneakily win. Also, you can complete a game of Great Zimbabwe really fast. It's one of the shorter Slaughter games, but it's no less deep. And the fact that the randomized board setup every game keeps it so fresh.
Oh, and the turn order auction is so fun.
Yeah, it's like redistribution of wealth. I've never seen an auction like that.
Heath.
Boop, 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 boop onto your little plaques.
And then any money that ends up on your plaque, you get. So the wealthy players who want to go first redistribute their money, communism style, to everyone else.
Chris and Dan bidding for first turn order is a benefit to you because you get their money when it lands on your plaque.
I can't think of a game where turn order is almost more important than the Great Zimbabwe.
Unless you pick my favorite god,
who can reuse resources.
Then you just laugh at everybody else when they bid for turn order, and you're like, "Yeah, I passed yet again." Okay.
As we approach the top three, I know what one of them is, for sure, and then I really don't know about the other two.
Oh, I can't wait. Okay, number 3 is Concordia.
Oh, that's right.
94 points.
94 points. Heath ranked at number 4. Dan number 3, Janice number 1, and Chris number 22. Chris said, I'm a sucker for shared incentives, which is, I know to be true.
To be fair, the shared incentives in Concordia are not nearly as strong as other games I'm familiar with.
Well, why didn't you say so?
It's a dash of parasitism where like multiple people in the same area, never mind.
And this was my absolute favorite quote from Janice, which is, being able to beat Chris doing his brick wheat spam is very cathartic.
I love my brick wheat spam.
Janice, I deeply appreciate you writing that.
It was Janice's favorite game. Yeah. I thought as much, I think. Dan and Heath, it's your number 4 game of all time.
For sure.
Talk about it.
It's readily apparent how to get your engine going. And then once you understand, the bigger your hand, the harder you win. It recontextualizes that fun engine building thing, such that if you can marry the two, you feel good when it comes time to score.
Yes. No, it's a weird balance. The word that comes to mind when describing Concordia to me often is it's such a smooth game. There's not a lot of feel-bad moments.
Same starting point for every player.
I had
like that.
I played it one time and it was no nonstop feel bad moment.
That's crazy.
I'm willing to play this again. It's the same thing as Innis, where I'm a minnow in a pool of sharks.
I still have it as my 22nd favorite game. It is probably receiving a little bit of a nostalgia bump. It was one of the first kind of midweight Euro games I really fell for, and it kind of stuck around as the one I need to keep in my collection. It does everything I'm looking for out of like a viticulture or a scythe. I just prefer getting my fix from Concordia. Very action efficiency, sequence your actions in the best possible order to score the most points better than anyone else. And I do like the little bit of brinkmanship that occurs around two people build their cities in the same area and like both of them eyeing each other who's going to produce and actually like trigger the payout for that one. You kind of want to be riding someone else's coattails, generating resources that you don't have to yourself produce. I enjoyed that bit of parasitism, as I was saying.
I think the gameplay cycle of Mercator, Prefect, Tribune is more enjoyable than Imperial.
That's funny you say that. They're made by the same designer.
Attaboy.
Matt Gertz.
Yeah, he perfected it with Concordia. He need not make Imperial.
Hey, don't say that.
I shouldn't say that.
If I was introduced to Concordia cold today, not having a history with it, I don't know if it would rank as highly for me.
Damn, you only put it in 22.
Yeah.
Ugh. What- I guess I'm just a sucker for mid-weight.
Could be.
Hey, don't worry. You're clearly not alone, Heath.
Good.
Chris is the
In good
minority.
company, yeah.
He just has all the power. All right, moving on to our number 2 game.
I think I know what number 2 is.
Look at these hexes. You already know.
You already
Yeah.
know it's got to be Age of Steam with
It's
95 points.
Age of Steam.
Janice with the backhanded compliment.
The only good train game, according to Janice, who ranked it number 7.
Very good from Janice.
So I thought you'd say that.
It was almost on everyone's list. It so narrowly missed yours, Heath.
close.
It's your 31st favorite game.
Chris
Yeah.
put it at 4. I put it at 15. Dan and Corey put it at 17. Dan, Corey, and I are just high-fiving each other.
What the hell is the best game?
Samantha disclosed to me that Age of Steam was the number 1 game until you submitted your list, Heath.
Heath, you
Whoa.
determined to the number 1
You
game.
knocked it down. Somehow.
Okay.
So we should talk about Age of Steam. It's really cool.
There are 10 million maps.
Yeah, that's what sends it over the moon for me. The fact that it's a system, I think way more than Power Grid. When you play on a different map of Age of Steam, it's a different game with a whole different rule set. You have to like change your heuristics to a pretty big degree.
There's a reason there's a whole Age of Steam con.
Yeah, there's that much of this game to be played.
Yeah.
It's so tough. You're just constantly riding a razor thin margin of balancing debt with your ability to be flexible on the board and actually make useful connections.
You say razor thin. Outside of like the first few turns, where you're running a net zero, ideally. I don't know. I don't have that issue. I feel like I've got a pretty good appraisal of the first few turns. It's the late game. I just fall apart. I can't find tier 5 routes.
Deliveries.
Heath, your early game is like kind of poetic to watch. You are always taking fewer shares than everybody else at the table, and I look at your board state and it is better than others at the table.
Interesting. Do you know where you go wrong, Heath?
Maybe his early planning is just conditional on something else instead of looking for those late game ones. I do the same thing.
Most recently when we played, I left a route hanging and somebody went and took it. I have fundamental issues.
I see.
What I do know, I know how to do, but I can't get long routes.
Age of Steam features a lot of my favorite things in games. The route building is really tight. It's claustrophobic. You're crawling all over each other.
You sure are.
The budgeting in this game, balancing your finances, I think it remains... Every single dollar is consequential until the final round or two. And that's really cool. The auction is so hard to parse where
Yes.
you end up in it.
No.
Because
Relative to every other train game, no.
I
Here-
guess they're different types of
yeah,
auctions.
there are different types of auction. In Age of Steam, it's an auction for turn order.
Right.
I think it's harder to guarantee you made the right bid in Age of Steam than it is in
At the end
modern
of-
art.
Very wrong.
At the end of modern art, you can say, I profited this much.
Oh, okay.
And at the end of Age of Steam, you're like, I lost by 3 points, but I don't know if I...
Where? Yeah.
where I did that.
I understand.
Chris, you failed to mention your absolute favorite thing about Age of Steam, which is that you can spam locomotive until you win the game.
It's a really good action.
You taught me that, and then I won our last game. Heath should have won. But
I want to keep playing Age of Steam. There's enough maps out there, and they're getting republished at a fast enough clip that I could every game of Age of Steam I play could be a new map. That's like a thing that could happen.
and we're never gonna play the Russian one you told me about.
Oh, a Stalinist Russia. That's new, coming out soon.
No thanks.
It seems really punishing. No, love Age of Steam. I'm happy to see Janice put a train game in his top 10. That's a win for me.
Yeah, I figured you'd be delighted by Janice at number 7 for Age of Steam.
Okay, drum roll please. Our collective number 1 game.
Are you guys ready for the number 1 game? Here we are, because it's Hansa Teutonica.
Oh my
Look at
God.
this beautiful gentleman I have on our screen. Yes, that's the original artwork.
I would have never in a million years predicted Hansa Teutonica was our number 1 game.
Boys coming in strong.
Janice quoted saying, I can't imagine ever getting sick of this game.
Hell yeah, Janice.
It's not on my list. I'm the only person who didn't rank it, but I liked Hansa Teutonica. It's in my top 40.
So Janice ranked it highest at number 4, Dan at number 5, Heath at number 7. And then Corey and I were mutually aligned, number 19. 101 points overall for Hansa Teutonica.
I'll speak for the Heath, Dan, Janice axis. It's the most elegant, taking little pieces off of my board and making my engine faster. With just the variety. I'll play the key game once, and then, there's a huge opening in the dinner plate game.
The cheese wheel?
Whatever it is.
Yeah, I think it's people holding barrels.
So many viable builds.
Yeah, there's a million ways to win this game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny, Samantha. The appeal of Hansa Teutonica, to me, is similar to the appeal of Brass.
That does not compute for me.
I see it.
The economic angle is removed. However, it's a game all about zigging where others zag.
But Chris, how did you feel when I absolutely dumpstered you that one game and swapped our little guys?
Oh, you took control over a key city from me in Hansa Teutonica.
What
by
happened to
swapping
you
us.
the rest of that game, Chris?
I was in the gutter.
Chris just looked at my action that he had just told me how to do and then refused to play the rest of the game.
I mean, I played. I just didn't emotionally
He was
recover.
doing his turns, but he was checked out. So, it has that risk.
That was an irregularity. That's pretty uncommon. No, Hansa Teutonica, I think it's a midweight Euro game, but it differentiates itself by how the players choose to place themselves on the board. Radically dictates how the game will play out. Like, you can have two obstinate players just decide, no one's continuing to upgrade actions anymore. We have parked too many barriers in the way. And that just changes how the entire game plays out.
Heath can park on privilege for almost the entire game, and then the route game just dies in its infancy. Yeah.
It is the core appeal of, okay, early game, you're trying to upgrade your player board, boost your engine, and then you try to time it just right that you pivot to scoring lots of points. That's the thing a lot of games do.
Concordia does that.
Concordia does that. It's very common in the Euro game genre. But Hansa Teutonica, a key aspect is it so heavily incentivizes you to just get in each other's way, to just be a passive-aggressive dick and block, and then you're rewarded for it because
That's why it's Dan's number 5, because he loves to be kicked.
Dan loves to get kicked around and then,
Profit.
It's one of the best straight-up Euro games. I don't hate it as her number 1, but I am surprised, actually. I didn't consider it as a contender.
I would like it more if I could figure out how to play the root game without feeling like I'm losing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like he said, multiple paths to victory, and which one is most viable does change game to game, just based on the collective decisions of the players.
It sure does. I just see the investment required to make the root game work, and I'm like, how do you do that? But then I see you guys win doing it, and I'm like, all right, so it's possible. It's opaque to me how to do that.
Yeah, I didn't rank it as high as Dan and Janice because I think you can be more creative in things like broom service. But hey, I feel so well represented. Of my top 10, 7 games were represented on our aggregate. I feel pretty good about that.
Look at that.
The snubs. Let's go for snubs. No Mogul and no Pax Pamir.
I've played
That's
Mogul
rough.
one time. It's not going on my list. Dan put Arboretum on his list, and I thought that was crazy.
I put Arboretum on my list.
Okay, Heath, you put every game on
75.
your list. Yeah.
I put Love Letter high.
How high?
Like 26.
I was expecting to see Skull somewhere on our top 30.
It was like in the top 35.
Can you pull up the near misses for us?
I was sad to see Agricola barely did not make it.
Oh, I fully expected to see it.
I was sad to see it. That's Heath's fault.
What's the Agricolas again?
He's never played it.
Yeah, that's why I said it's Heath's fault. Age of Rail barely also didn't make it.
Got
Bacon's
it.
on the cusp. So is The Crew. And then Pandemic Legacy, that's just being held up by me, though.
Okay.
Food Chain Magnate comes in at number 40.
I didn't expect it to make the list.
The Resistance is 41.
I did expect to see the Resistance for the nostalgia pick.
Heath, to your credit, Mogul is 46.
That's crazy for a game we played one time.
I mean,
That's entirely being held up by Heath.
really?
Yes.
Oh.
It's one time. I didn't rank it.
Yeah.
Oh, Skull is here at 56.
okay.
It's
wow,
on-
low.
It's on mine and Dan's list.
I only played Nikosu Dice once, and it still made it to number 20. Where did it go?
That's a good game.
It's really good.
Heath,
23.
would you like to humor me? Can you rattle off your top 10 games?
Cosmic Encounter, Innis, Automania, Concordia, Broom Service, Bacon, Hansa Teutonica, Rex, Comet,
Rex.
and Viticulture at number 10.
That was from number 1 to number 10, you read.
Right.
Rex. Okay.
Rex is so fun.
You just love announcing where the pleasure district is on the board.
Among other things. I'm clearly area control pilled, right?
Yeah, you are.
There's nothing other games offer that's like strong enough to tear me away from that. Like Whitehall only made it to 14. Power Grid only made it to 15. If you do what you're trying to do well, I'll put you in the top 20. I won't put you in the top 10.
Samantha, would you rattle off your top 10 for us? For any curious listeners?
My top 10 is Whitehall Mystery number 1, Indonesia, Prussian Rails, Pandemic Legacy Season 1, Go, Power Grid, Rich and the Good, Battle Line, Fresh Fish, and Chicago Express. So the only two I don't see was Pandemic Legacy, which I did not expect to see on there, and Battle Line, which is a fantastic game, but it's a 2-player game. So
right.
It's not seeing.
And I didn't help you with that. And then for my top 10 for the curious were number 1, Chicago Express. Number 2, my only miss was Age of Rails, South Africa. Number 3, Go. 4, Age of Steam. 5, Indonesia. 6, Great Zimbabwe. 7, Tigris and Euphrates. 8, Imperial. 9, Prussian Rails. And 10, 1889.
Oh, yeah. Just put Shikoku 18, whatever it was, somewhere in like Heath's 40s.
Okay.
Okay.
I only have your top 30 on here, Heath. So.
Oh, see what? So he doesn't have to hurt his feelings and see where Age of Rail is?
Yeah, I'm protecting Chris.
I put Age of Rail above Food Chain Magnate.
Okay. What was the thought process
That says
there?
more about Food Chain than it does about Age of Rail.
If you say so, yeah.
I mean, I did too, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Hinkle and Stein made it on my list at number 30.
No, it didn't.
Who are they?
It's a game about balancing rocks on a like
seesaw.
very simple seesaw.
Oh, it's like animal upon animal. Yeah.
It's so funny.
Bro, why is Prussian Rail so high?
Corey boosted it.
I boosted
Her.
it.
I boosted it too.
Guys, you guys are out of your mind.
I just have fun when playing that game.
Age of Steam has like a 30-point lead almost on the next nearest train game.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be a shock to anyone.
Yeah, that's fair.
Putting another train game above Age of Steam makes no sense to me.
Well, we didn't. Oh, you mean personally? I think I stand where I am. Age of Steam, sometimes I feel like it's mean, and that's why it's lower than Prussian Rails. Less mean. The RNG doesn't have feelings, but Chris does when he takes my cube and steals my 5 delivery.
What yours is mine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, what an episode this has been.
Oh my.
What's our runtime at, Heath?
We're pushing 3.
Oh.
Well, we better wrap it up.
What other top 30 things do we need to rank, listener?
Yeah, it's so much fun. We'll crowdsource it. If you have any comments, if you were tuning in just for that board game segment, maybe we got some publicity there. Write us your thoughts. Tell us what were our biggest mischaracterizations, our biggest snubs. You can send us an email at mobiustubespodcast@gmail.com.
That's mobiustubespodcast@gmail.com. All of you one-night werewolf suckers are crying in your inboxes.
We will read every email on the air. Please do give us feedback. And we'll tune in next episode with some exciting things, I'm sure.
More Deltarune. You guys are going to finish Blueprints.
We're going
I'm
to
going to
try.
play more Deltarune. Heath, don't you worry. It's going to be great.
See you later, guys.
Bye.
Bye.